afternoon, football fans, and welcome to yet another edition of 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. It is day number 3 of AFC Week, and today we are talking the AFC South. That's right. This division is, wow, it is a trip. Two teams finished extremely low last year. Can they redeem themselves this season and make a much better season than last year? Or will it continue to be dominated by those top two teams, the Colts and the Titans? I'll tell you, it's been a party all week long. The last 2 weeks it sure has. And I have enjoyed every bit of it. It's been exhausting, I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. But, honestly, there's nothing else I'd rather be doing than doing this show during these 2 weeks for training camp. Always love it. Tons of fun. Day number 7, if you will. Day number 7 of 8 of 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days. So, we're getting real close to the end, y'all. We have 24 teams down. Just 8 more to go. By the end of today, we will have 4 more. And by the end of tomorrow, we'll be all wrapped up with this series for the year. I just want to say a huge shout out and thank you to everybody who has been a part of this thing. You are truly awesome. And thank you so much for spending your time, well, some of your time, with us this year on this show. So, once again, you guys, the AFC South, the Tennessee Titans have dominated. But then, in the playoffs, like last year as the number 1 seed, they fizzle out. Some people looked at that a little suspect. But will the Titans actually get it together this year and make a Super Bowl run? Can they? Are they still Super Bowl caliber? Let's find out. Can the Colts step out of their shadow? That is an interesting one because they have firepower, but are they a playoff caliber team? And then there were the Texans and Jags. Oh boy. Welcome to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, AFC South Day, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Welcome, football fans. Well, here we are, day number 7. My goodness. It's always around this show where I get a little loopy. I mean, really, guys, I've been recording interviews. Last weekend, I spent like the majority of the weekend. Actually, no, I didn't. Last week, I spent a lot of Sunday, a little bit on Saturday. I would say a good amount of Sunday, and then throughout the week, during the weekdays, of course, after this show, recording interviews for like the next day or the day after that. So there would be like a couple of days, the interviews I was recording for certain shows would be like a couple of days ahead of the actual show where it aired. You know, that good stuff. Okay, well, this week, couldn't do that, and I coach varsity football, so we have our practices in the evening, so it's like after the show, couple more hours later, and I'm gone. So I've done my best to try to get as many interviews as I could done on Sunday. Saturday, of course, we just hung out, and that was, good, restful day. Sunday, I think I did 12 full interviews around the clock on Sunday, and, well, yeah, that was exhausting. I did a couple on Monday, and, yeah, it's just been crazy, but finally managed. We're good to go. And, well, here we are, you guys. Just about finished with the entire series. And, like I said, it's the AFC South. Now, a lot of people will look at this division and say, well, this division sucks. And it doesn't. Honestly, like I said, there are no professional teams that suck. Trust me. I mean, some are coached better, or some athletes are just better, more freakish athletes. I mean, it's incredible. You're a lion on the field of lions. You know what I mean? Like, that's all there is to it. So this division has seen better days. The Jaguars, of course. Jaguars starting off amazing with their franchise in the mid-90s and then just kind of fell off. The Titans were once the Oilers, after all that whole move and everything. The Titans had their glory days, especially in the early 2000s, and then they just kind of fell off. The Colts, my goodness. The Colts were historically pretty solid. The Peyton Manning era was, my goodness, I wasn't, I wasn't around too much more longer before that one, at least watching football, So the Peyton Manning era, I remember that live and in color because those were like my high school days. And then after that, let me see who else we got there. And the Texans, they were brand new on the scene, in 2002, and I don't think they've ever gotten past a divisional round. I think that's actually, I'm pretty sure they have never gotten past a divisional round in the playoffs. So each of these teams have had their times pretty solid. The Jaguars actually had their, an AFC Championship just a few years ago. So I'm just saying each of these teams have been solid, but if you really think about it, where has it gone? And what will it take to get these guys back to those glory days? So, with that said, today we are talking to 4 more diehards. Really excited to speak to all 4 of them, of course. Coming up first, we got our man, Mr. Christopher Murphy, talking Texans. After that, we got our live call-in from a diehard Jaguars fan, Mr. Johnny. After that, because I'll be, of course, live, not recorded. After that, we'll be talking to our very own Aaron X of the Crossroads Pod here on IE Sports Radio, talking Colts. And then after that, we have yet another homer here as we talk Tennessee Titans to finish off the show with our very own Davidson Crooks. He is a diehard Titans fan, and of course, he is one half of our basketball show here on IE Sports Radio. Fast break. So, with that said, you guys, get ready, get set. Let's enjoy today's show, talking AFC South right here on 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, AFC week day number 3, 8 divisions in 8 days, day number 7. We're talking AFC South, and we're talking Houston Texans right after this.
What's going on, everyone? Are you a fan of the greatest sport in the world? Then do I have the show for you. This is the Soccer Scoreboard Show, hosted by me, Andrew Hagenball, where I will take you on a journey around the world of soccer, talking important news, scores from all major leagues, including some you may never heard of before, tournaments, and so much more. Be sure you tune in every Sunday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Pacific, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What is going on, everybody? This is Ben Matello, the host of the Yinza Report, right here on IE Sports Radio. I'm bringing you the latest in the Steel City, the City of Champions, from the Steelers, the Penguins, the Pirates, as well as the college game with both Penn State and Pitt. You could join me every Tuesday afternoon at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, where I'll be talking about everything from the Steel City, the City of Champions, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back, football fans. Well, here we are. As I mentioned in the introduction, we are ready to rock and roll, and we are in Texans country. Some people may say Cowboys country up in the DFW area, but this is going a little down south to Houston, H-Town, if you will, is where we start off our journey today in the AFC South, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get this one rocking and rolling. I'm so hyped up to have this guy on because he's hyped up to be here, man. I'm really excited for this. We have another first-timer here on IE Sports Radio on 3 and Out, and, well, I'm happy to introduce him. He is die-hard Texans fan all the way from H-Town, ladies and gentlemen. Glad to have him here for his first of hopefully many times. He's known as Murph Mix-a-Lot on Twitter. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Christopher Murphy. How's it going today, brother? Glad to have you on the show.
Hey, what's up, Larry B? Thanks for having me. How's everything going on your side today?
Oh, man, everything's good over here in sunny Southern California, just doing my thing. And, oh, man, this interview is actually being recorded yesterday, you guys. Of course, today the show airs on Wednesday on the, what is this today, the 27th. So I'm having to look in the future right now in this interview. This is actually right before the AFC East show. So yeah, as you know, you guys, I spread myself really thin during this time of year when I make all these interviews. But hey, it's worth it because these are great interviews. Man, I was over there at the gym working out all super fast, rushing home, showered up in like 5 minutes, and well, that's typical. But I was over here rushing around and everything. But getting this interview going before today's show of the AFC East, which was yesterday. I know it's confusing. Anyway, with that said, you guys, let's jump on into it. Chris, how's it doing, man? Okay, last year the Texans. Yeah,
man. So
you know,
man, Larry B, if you don't mind me, man, I kind of start you off there. And
oh, okay.
Kind of talk about our year. Going into last year, as a Texan fan, we all knew that it was going to be a down year. We just knew the free agency we had with the first year of Nick Caserio as our general manager. And then, hiring David Coley was a big unknown and a big shock to the Texas organization, along with all the Deshaun drama we've had and things like that. But we're gonna put that to the side when it comes to talking about last year. We're gonna talk about the Texans football team who actually played on the field. So we finished at 4-13, and if you look at our wins versus our losses. We were expected to beat the Jags. The Jags are the Jags. We know who they are. But I will say, out of those 4 wins, there were some very good bright side wins. We beat the Chargers at home pretty handily.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people want to say that that's a COVID game because they had a lot of starters out as well. Let's just be honest. The Texans had, second stringers on most of that team. On offense and defense most of all of last season. So to beat the Chargers at home pretty handily, which I would personally say was David Smith's best throwing game of the season, if you really go back and watch that tape of the backside throw to Philip Dorsett, the in-stride throw go route to Chris Conley for that touchdown right before the half was just phenomenal play. So we may even talk a little bit more about that game later on. But and then the Titans really coming out and shocking the Titans was mind blowing because we didn't think that was going to happen at all. So 4-13, we kind of expected to be there, and to me, I think that was the best bet because I think going into this year, which we're going to talk about even more, really helped us draft-wise, depth-wise, and again, we'll talk about that when we get into free agency.
Great stuff, man. Thank you. Well, wow. Way to, I guess, take over the show. I like it, man. That is great, man. We gotta join us. You gotta jump on the network, man. Way to do it.
Yeah, I know it's my first time, man. I know it's my first time, just being on a podcast in general, but
that's pretty good.
I like to consider myself, and of course through my opinions, is I'm not a fair weather fan. I'm a diehard fan, but I fully understand everything that is happening. I look at the insides. I look at the front office. What are they doing? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
What is the coaches doing? What are the assistant coaches doing? I look at all the aspects. I may not be 100% entwined with the X's and O's and be able to speak to the plays and things like that, but I think I truly believe that we are heading on the right path right now. So I'm pretty excited.
Well, that's awesome, man, and great way to do it. Yeah, last year, Titans, of course, own the division at 12-5, Colts at 9-8, and then just a giant drop-off. I mean, there was a drop-off from the Titans to the Colts, and then a drop-off from the Colts to the Texans and Jaguars. I mean, as we said, Texans, as you said, 4-13, Jaguars 3-14. But, hey, let's put that in the rear view, and, well, that'll do it for the schedule, well, for everything last year.
This is preview. This is preview talk. We done talking about last season.
Exactly. So we're going to close the door on last season. Let's get on over to this offseason, Christopher. So starting things off, of course, the elephant in the room. I mean, all thoughts, comments, and opinions are theirs, of course, on IA Sports Radio, just in case anything is said. But, just keeping it clean, I guess. I mean, Deshaun Watson, lots of unfortunate things going on there and all these things happening. But headed over to the Browns. Now the Browns don't really know what's going on. But at the end of the day, he's no longer a Texan. Brandon Cooks, though, resigns. Jerry Hughes will come on over to the Texans. You guys will pick up Mario Addison as well, another big pickup. You guys will lose Tyrod Taylor. He will head to the Giants. AJ Cann will head over, guard, to the Texans. So lots of moving pieces. Terrence Mitchell heads over to the Patriots at corner. Eric Wilson will depart to the Saints. You guys will pick up Steven Nelson, Jalen Reeves-Maybin. So, I mean, just lots and lots of moves here. My goodness, there are so many. Oh, my gosh. Wow. Courtesy of overthecap.com, I mean, I see so many moves here. What would you say? Who are your biggest acquisitions and departures, you would say, for this offseason in free agency only, Chris?
So I want to be very clear on departures. When it comes to departures, I will say Deshaun Watson is a franchise quarterback. I'm just going to keep it at that. I think it was the right deal to move along, move forward, give him what we wanted, and let's get that stigma off the Texans franchise. Because let's be honest, the whole Jack Easterby versus Deshaun Watson debate. What is Cal McNair doing? Is he eating ribs, playing video games in his office every single day? We don't know. But at the end of the day, he's not here. We got to put that behind us. We don't work in the front office. We support a team and what's being put on the field itself. So speaking of free agency and the pickups, you spoke to a lot of them. Steven Nelson, Rasheem Green from Seattle. I'm going to talk about two that really point out to me that I think were very underlined players that could actually be potential cornerstones to this team. And a lot of people and fans may be like, what? But I'm going to go ahead and say it. MJ Stewart. He was a defensive back for Cleveland Browns last year. And if you look according to Pro Football Focus, MJ Stewart on the limited snaps that he played in, believe it or not, was a top 7 defensive back. Nice. Nobody heard of him because one, he played for Cleveland, right? But that's a guy to look out for this year. Should definitely be within the rotation of secondary, which again, let's be honest, we had one of the worst secondaries in the league last year. You hit the nail on the coffin. Steven Nelson is another one. He was also within that top 15 realm of the PFF rankings of cornerbacks last year. So definitely take a look at him. But I think the other one that I think can really, really be a true player here, and I apologize to him in advance because I am going to chop and smack his name all wrong, and I apologize, no disrespect to you, Mr. Okoronkwo from the Rams, defensive edge rusher last year, was in top 17 edge rushers on his limited snaps for the Rams, a.k.a. when you got Aaron Donald and all of those guys running around, you're just not getting playing time, let's be honest. So definitely look out for him. He's going to be the one to look at. And I'm most excited for our defensive edges itself. You talked about it. Mario Addison, Jerry Hughes coming over from that amazing Buffalo defense last year. Yes, they're getting old, but 1 to 2 year deals, you can't beat it. Bringing that veteran leadership. AJ Cann, great in the run. We were awful in the run last year. And then re-signing, Collins, getting him back on that defensive line. He was that engine, that motor to that defense last year, which I would like to bring up on a side note is turnover differential. We were +3 in the league last year, which was probably one of the only brightest spots of the defense last year, which was really, really nice to see. So when it comes to free agency, a lot of 1 to 2 year deals. And I think that's on design. I think that's on purpose because I think next year after this season, which hopefully we'll get to talk about that later on after this season, we'll have a lot of money to spend. We can go get some bigger playtime players. So this was a free agency of depth.
That was awesome, man. Great analysis. And absolutely, man. I think you guys added lots and lots of key pieces. Free agency was a gold mine for you guys, and I'm really glad you guys acquired some solid athletes, man. So let's head on over to the draft. Man, I mean, you guys picked up a guy that I really admire his gameplay. The guy goes all out every single time he's on the field, and it is just, I don't know. He's somebody, I'm a Raider fan, and I mean, trust me, I would love somebody like him in our secondary. He is an absolute beast, and I think he can really help you guys out. And of course, the 3rd overall pick in the 2022 NFL draft, Derek Stingley Jr., corner out of LSU. The guy is a freak of nature, and that was a great pickup. The 15th overall pick, Kenyon Green, a big old giant guard, homegrown in Texas. I don't know if he's actually from Texas, but at least he played his college ball there.
Oh, yeah.
The guy is a freaking monster, massive human being, and he can certainly, great footwork, great speed for somebody his size. My goodness, that is such a pickup in the middle of that offensive line. And then we go on in the second round, Jalen Petrie, safety, another Texas guy, man. This kid can fly around the field, make huge plays. I thought he was a very good pickup. And you had another second-round pick, and that's John Nikshi III, or actually the 3rd, wide receiver out of Alabama. Solid piece. It's crazy to think he fell, but then again, maybe, I don't know. I mean, there was so much talent in that first round. Of course, Georgia with 5,000 players going in the first round. So I mean, it's it was a big possibility some players would fall, but this guy fell right into your guys' hands. I mean, solid pickup there. Christian Harris, linebacker out of Alabama. I mean, there are so many big pieces. I'm not going to go over every single one of them, but my goodness, Christopher, if you guys had a draft, my gosh, I mean, that was a draft. So go ahead and talk about it. Let us know what you thought about this year's draft for the Texans.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put, I would say not really expertise, but my thoughts and my dreams here on this draft. I feel like this is a franchise-changing draft. You got to think when we went to go get Deshaun Watson and Laramie Tunsil, we mortgaged the future, and it has definitely been showing these last couple of years. With the turmoils we've been seeing with roster turnover, head coaching turnover, assistant coaching, everything, right? Mm-hmm. I think Nick finally showed why we wanted him here, right? We always talk about the Patriot way. If you go back and look at some of those old drafts that Nick was a part of in the dynasty area of the Patriots, the 20 years, I mean, there's just Hall of Famer after Hall of Famer after Hall of Famer just within those draft picks. And I know that's a lot to say right now for a team that's, in the dumps, trying to make their way out. But Stingley, going number 3, I would say a semi-shock due to the fact that I think a lot of the Texans fan base really, really wanted Hutchinson to fall there to number 3. I think we all would have been happy with Hutchinson as well. But let's be honest, cornerback was a more dire need with Jonathan Grenard having a splendid season last year as a defensive edge rusher. But Stingley, he brings that man-to-man corner that you're looking for. He brings that fight, that dog in him, that spirit. Yes, he missed a lot of playing time in college due to the COVID time and then being injured. But then, running that 4.34 right after during this pro day just really, I think, put him in that number 3 spot. So I'm really excited for him to work with some of these other cornerbacks like Devin King, Steve Nelson, to really revamp that secondary, which had 17 interceptions last year. Again, +3 turnover differential. If it wasn't for, the interceptions, it probably would have been one of the worst defenses in the history of the NFL. No joke, and this is coming from a diehard fan and a realistic fan. When it comes to Green, shout out to my hometown of Humble, Texas. Yes, it's Humble. The H is silent. He is from Humble, Texas, which is my hometown within the suburbs of H-Town. Will definitely solidify that guard position. I was personally worried at first they were going to put Tyrus Howard at guard and then put him at right tackle. No, if you go look at Howard and how he, graded out on PFF through the right that tackle position, he was graded, within the top 20 versus as the guard, he was in the bottom 20. So that right there alone just scared me. So I'm glad he's going to be at the guard spot instead of Tyrus Howard. Then from there, you got Jalen Petrie. He's going to be your all-around safety, strong safety, can play cornerback. He's going to be that Tyrann Mathieu type player, right? He'll get in the trenches. He'll go get you those 2 to 3 sacks a season. And from what we're hearing so far out of OTAs and mandatory mini camps and things like that, he brings the fire. I do want to shout out and send some prayers to John Minchie III. I'm sure not everybody knows by now, but he is out for the season. He's diagnosed with leukemia, the same leukemia form that Andre Howe had, former safety of the Texans. He will recover. Prayers out to him, but he will miss out the season. But that pick alone got me super excited because he is that slot receiver the Texans have been wanting and waiting for the last 5 to 10 years. That will just be a plus next year. He'll have a year of, knowledge and the playbook under his belt before he actually physically hits the floor. So that's just an extra second-round draft pick added to next year's list that is going to be amazing as well. But I will tell you what, one of the biggest names to really, really look at, and I would actually say 2, is Christian Harris, the linebacker, who is pushing for a possible starting spot from conversations that I've had with other Texans fans and things that I've read from Twitter. And then Dameon Pierce, I think, out of all the rookies, has the potential to have the biggest impact just because of his position at running back. You got Rex Burkhead, you got Pierce, and then you also got Max. So you got a possible 3-headed tandem there, depending on any injuries and setbacks. Pierce could be that running back who can really help us goal line and things like that. And then just to round it off, Thomas Booker, defensive tackle. You got Tegan Quintanaro, tight end, and then Austin Deculus, tackle of LSU. I like to call this the SEC draft, and we do know that that's where the big dogs play in college. As a huge college fan yourself, the SEC is where you need to be.
Oh, yeah.
That's where we are. That's where we're going, and I'm excited to see what these rookies are going to bring this season.
Man, I love it. Great analysis again, and overall, man, solid draft. I did not know that, though, about Mechie. Man, I just hope, thoughts and prayers with him as well, and wish him a speedy recovery. So, with that said, man, what a job getting through all of that. You're a natural, man. No, that was pretty good stuff. Well, let's go ahead.
Well, I did my research, man. I'm not going to come on your show and not kind of do some research beforehand.
Hey, I get you, man.
People want to hear good content, and as a fan of the Texans, I'm actually a season ticket member as well. So I travel from DFW every other weekend to go down there. So we'll be there for the first preseason game, August 13th against the Saints. So see what those rookies are going to do, man. That's the best time.
That's awesome, brother. Well, let's take a quick look at the schedule. This is just short and sweet, but looking here, courtesy of FBschedules.com. Looks like here you guys have, of course, aside from the AFC South schedule, looks like that's a tough one. The AFC West is on the schedule this year, as well as the NFC East. And then a couple of outlier teams that aren't in either one. Let's see here, who do we got? We have, looks like...
we got the Dolphins.
The Dolphins from the AFC East, and the other outlier team is, let's take a look here, Chicago from the NFC North. So, with that said, how about this? How about the schedule? With seeing the schedule right now, looking at your guys' draft ranks, see all that stuff, man, what do you think your team is capable of this season?
I'm optimistic here, and I'm also realistic. I understand that this most likely will not be a playoff year. That's going to be next year. Next year really will define what we're going to do moving forward. But this year is about creating that depth, the continuality of Lovie Smith coming back within the coaching realms, being our head coach instead of our defensive coordinator. Actually, he'll be acting as both, per what he's told us before camp and things like that. But here's the deal. We were 4-13 last year. We had one of the hardest schedules last year. I think we have one of the easier schedules this year versus records in 2021. And this is how I'm going to look at it. Let's be honest. The AFC South, I truly believe, is the worst division of football. It just is. I hate to say that. I don't want to say that, but that is true fact. When you got Jaguars and Texans, finishing 1 and 3 with the first and third worst records in the league, that's 2 of 4 spots. That's 50% of worst teams, right? And that may not make sense, but at the end of the day, look, we got to be better than 4-13. I think with Davis Mills, having a topsy-turvy rookie year and still produce what he did with the type of talent he had, we should win at least 6 games. But I'm going to go further and tell you that my expectations and where I think they should be and where they could be and where they can be is 8-9. And let me kind of tell you why real quick. If you look at our division, there should be no reason why we can't go 3-3 in the division, right? There should be no reason why we can't get one win against the Colts, against the Titans, and against the Jags, at least. Will that be a challenge? Of course. The Colts, I think, will win the division. I think they'll finish off 10-7. I think the Titans are going to regress just a tad because I don't think their offense is going to be potent, and I think Tannehill is going to have about the same year he did last year, which was a down year from the year before. I think the Jaguars are going to finish 6-11, so 8-9. If you look at our schedule from November 3rd to November 27th, we have, I believe, the Eagles on that Thursday night football game. I think we could win that game. They'll be much improved, but we don't know what Jalen Hurts is, right? We don't know. So I'm going to go with the assumption that we can win that game. I don't see there's an argument that we can win that game. From there, after the Eagles, you have the Giants. It's at Giants, but there should be no reason why we can't beat the Giants. Then you got the Commanders. That's at home. I don't see why you can't win that one, right? And then you got the Dolphins. We don't know what they're going to be with Tyreek Hill. We don't know what Tua Tagovailoa is going to be. You've seen all the talk this offseason about how he can't throw and he doesn't throw the ball like Patrick Mahomes and things like that. And then last but not least, is Watson going to play or not? We don't know. And if he doesn't, the very next week we're playing the Browns at home. That's 6 winnable games. That actually could be 9-8. I'm going to say Watson's probably going to play that game, so I'm going to consider that a loss. No offense. That team with Watson is probably going to be one of the best teams in the league. On paper, that's what that is. So I think we can. Those are 5 winnable games, right? We're going to beat the Bears. We can beat the Eagles. We can beat the Giants. We could beat the Commanders. I think we could beat the Dolphins. And if that happens, I truly see that we could finish at 8-9, which would be a huge win for the Texans organization at this point.
Wow, man. You know what? Way to be optimistic and way to get to believe in your team. I mean, honestly, anything could happen this season. I really feel that, hey, man, these guys, if they put it together the right way, my goodness, yeah, I can definitely see that. So let's take a look here. One last segment, and oh my goodness, this is a fun one. This is a segment that has grown over the years so much, and man, this year is really getting big. This is the segment where you just talked about how you thought the Texans will do this year. Well, now you kind of have to put the other three teams that you love to hate, and, they love to, I guess not hate, but who does, but, there's three other teams in this division that you definitely don't care for, and they don't care for you either. That's the best part, is there's so much rivalry, and that's what makes the NFL so great. Well, with that said, we got 2 minutes on the clock. Make sure to sum up these other three teams' seasons in a nutshell, and please don't hesitate to tell us how you really feel about them. You can be nice and polite about it and respectful. You can be mean and ugly, or a combination of both. You got 2 minutes on the clock. Without further ado, Christopher, stick it to him.
Man, you know what? I'm going to take the calm, cool, collected approach, the more professional. I believe the Colts, again, will win the division this year, finishing 10-7. I think within the division, any team, any given Sunday can lose and or win. I just think with the Colts defense, adding Yannick Ngakoue, I can't say
Ngakoue, yeah.
Stop it up, but yeah, you know who I'm talking about, though.
Yeah, from the
adding
Raiders.
him to that defensive line with, and the Darius Leonard on the back end. And they also added Stephon Gilmore, who was just, Defensive Player of the Year just a couple years back. Mm-hmm. So I really think the Colts will finish in the top of the division. Titans, again, 9-8. Jaguars, 6-11. I think the Jaguars will improve just from free agency. But, again, that's a recipe for disaster for them. Jaguars just suck. And I hate when their fans come into the stadium and say, Duval, you sound ignorant and stupid. Just stop. Titans fans, tighten up. You know what? You're the old Orange team. I respect you in that perspective. But Bud Adams, rest in peace. I know you're dead, but you were an awful owner. Bye. And then it's just all about the Texans, man. Born and raised. I haven't been 100% satisfied with the issues and the drama that's come out with the Watson stuff. And then before that with Bill O'Brien, he's gone. We got to watch all their way. This is Nick's team. This is Lovie Smith's team. I envision Lovie being there for at least 2 years. And then, you know what? We might go after an even bigger time coach. But AFC South, I hope the Texans can win the division. That'd be a great shock. You've got to give Davis Mills a shot. He put up a 66% completion rating, which him and Mac Jones were in the top 5 rookie of all time within their first year. That's sick. Davis Mills had 3 games of 125 QBR rating. That's sick. That's insane. And then, Larry, do me a favor. Go back, watch that Chargers game, and go watch the Patriots game, who had a very efficient defense last year. Davis Mills tore them up. So I'm going to leave it with that. I believe Davis Mills can be our franchise quarterback. But if not, we're settled. We're stocked. We're loaded with cap next year. We're loaded with draft stock next year. And we're going to be ready to rock and roll.
Christopher Murphy, ladies and gentlemen, that was incredible. I'm so glad to have had you on today, man. You definitely know your stuff. Super diehard, man. And I am really...
I tried, man.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I definitely enjoyed that segment. And way to kick off AFC South Day, man. You set the tone for the whole day. So that was incredible. And thanks again. With that said, there's one final thing to do, Christopher, and that, of course, is to plug yourself, man. I know there's a lot of Texans fans right now that are hyped up after hearing that. And, well, with that said, man, let these diehard Texans fans know where to find you.
Yeah, guys, my Twitter handle is Murph Mix-a-Lot. You can follow me there on Twitter. I talk everything, sports, Houston sports, and just a little bit on the side, man. I love to smoke barbecue. I love to cook. And we can talk about barbecue. We can talk about sports. We can talk about my Texans, Rockets, Astros, everything, man. So, yeah, hit me, follow me up on Twitter, and I'll follow you back, man. Again, that's Murph Mix-a-Lot.
That is amazing. I'm happy. I'm following him. You guys should too. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, that was a wonderful segment. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Christopher Murphy. Hey, thanks again, man, for spending some time with us here today, taking time out of your busy day. I know you're over there at work, man. You're just you took an early lunch for us, man. We appreciate you so much for that. And thanks again for being here today, man. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Take care. God bless. And we'll be talking to you soon, man. Thanks again.
Hey, Larry, thanks, man. I appreciate the invite. And again, let's hook up again, do this again.
Hey, we certainly will, brother. Have a good one, man. Take care. We'll talk to you soon.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see Christopher Murphy. Man, that was awesome, man. What a guy. That was really cool. Dude definitely knows his stuff, and well, I am very glad to have him on the show. Man, I think he can be a candidate to host our Houston show. What do you guys think? With that said, you guys, that is going to do it for the Houston Texans. Now we're heading on over to Duval. Heading on over to Jacksonville to talk Jaguars. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a good one. The tone has already been set, and we're on the way to the next city in the AFC South. Once again, you are listening to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, AFC week day number 3. 8 divisions in 8 days, day number 7. Man, we're getting close to the end here, aren't we? Well, with that said, you guys, thanks for tuning in, and well, when we get back, we're talking Jaguars right here on 3 and Out on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back talking Jaguars after this.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter, at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter. At any time, be happy to reply. Always want to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Some say that Indiana is just a flyover state. Flatlands and cornfields, barns and country roads. What if I told you Indiana is the crossroads of America? What if I told you in all other states, basketball is just basketball? In Indiana, basketball is life. Crowded high school basketball gyms on a Friday night, and every barn with a basketball rim and a frayed, worn-out net. If you're interested in the heartbeat of America, and if you're interested in sports, if you have Hoosier running through your veins, the Crossroads Pod with Aaron X is made for you. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Each and every week, the Crossroad Pod covers all of Indiana sports. The pride of the horseshoe of the Indianapolis Colts. The blue-collar gold swagger of the Indiana Pacers. The relentless pursuit of the sixth banner for the Indiana Hoosiers. The swing of the hammer of the Purdue Boilermakers. The swoop of the Cardinals of Ball State. The summoning of the echoes of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. The growl of the Bulldogs of Butler. The intensity of an Indiana fever. The chop of the Indianapolis Indians. At the Crossroads Pod, if it is Indiana, we've got you covered. More than cornfields. More than country back roads. The Crossroads of America. Join me, Aaron X, every week. It's nothing but net.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Lowe's rate. Here to give you what you want. Here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back, football fans. Well, here we are for the second interview of the day. We just talked to Mr. Christopher Murphy. That was fun. Fun stick it to him segment, by the way. He had some fun there and taking jabs, of course, at all the other teams. And I'll tell you right now, that was a lot of fun. Definitely enjoyed talking to Christopher. Real nice guy, and hey, it's a big pot. I'm really trying to work on that guy to host our Houston sports show, man. I think he's pretty solid. So, really, really cool guy, and really great way to start out the show. Well, with that said, we got ourselves a freaking treat here because, well, ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves a season ticket holder, a diehard Jaguar, and he, by the way, corrected me to let me know that the proper terminology or the proper pronunciation is Jaguars. So I will be referring to the Jacksonville Jaguars as the Jaguars and not the Jaguars, guys. Remember that. Jaguars. So, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, die-hard Jacksonville Jaguars fan all the way from not too far from Duval. Ladies and gentlemen, welcoming, of course, for hopefully first of many, many, many times here on 3 and Out. Ladies and gentlemen, he is a diehard Jaguars fan, season ticket holder, and all-around great dude. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Mr. Johnny. What's going on, Johnny? How you doing today, brother?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing the best I can, man. Thank you very much for being here today, and really look forward to our conversation here as we get ready to talk about your team, these Jaguars. Now, the crazy part about these guys is just a few years back. I mean, we're talking, once again, as I said, 2017, my goodness, this team was in the AFC Championship. I mean, they were ready to rock and roll. It looked like in my heart of hearts, I was cheering you guys on because I was like, oh my gosh. This is going to be a movie one day if they win the Super Bowl. Like, you go from being one of the worst teams in the NFL for well over a decade, and guess what? Now you guys won a Super Bowl. You defeated the Patriots. I mean, that year you guys would have played the Falcons. I mean, if you guys would have won that year, I'm just saying, that was incredible. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be, but here we are now, a few years removed, and it's like you guys went right back to what it used to be. So, I don't know, man, kind of crazy, but that, and then, of course, last season, I mean, it's really not worth getting too much into. Last year, you guys finishing 3-14, just a really tough, really tough go for you guys. Tons of games that I feel like you may have had, may not have had, but overall, I mean, just kind of a rough year, and as I said, I don't really think it's worth going over. You guys had a couple of games there. A big victory over the Bills. That was pretty solid last year, as good as they were. But with that said, Donnie, go ahead and let us know, man, every raw emotion last year as a Jaguars fan watching them in this season.
Well, we're pretty used to losing. It's we're a decade into Shad Khan's ownership of the team, and since 2011, the team is 47 and 130. So they can't really hurt us much any more than they already have. I will say, as far as 2017 goes, and the AFC Championship game, Miles Jack was not down. If you don't know what that means, just Google it. We were robbed, but basically last year was. There was from a Jaguars fan perspective, one of the things that that's just frustrating for us is the beatdowns. You know, I know people think, oh, that sounds like a loser mentality if you say you just want to play well, but we haven't even played well in years and years and years. So I personally would just like to see them, if they're going to lose, man, just lose like a normal NFL team and win, 6-7 games this year. I'll be perfectly happy. Last year's win over the Bills, it came down to one thing, man. Honestly, our Josh Allen was not going to lose to their Josh Allen, and he took that game over, and with the exception of a touchdown, he basically had everything a defensive player can have. He had a strip, sack, interception. He just had himself a day because he went out there and said, I don't care how bad the offense plays, we're not losing this game to the Bills and the other Josh Allen. And they didn't. The funny thing is, if you look at the Bills' record in Jacksonville, they can't win here. They do not win in Jacksonville. Our series all time is split 9-9, but if you look at their results in Jacksonville, they almost always lose. You know, the Bills waited 20 years to go, or 18 years to go back to the playoffs in 2017, and they couldn't even. They only scored 3 points in Jacksonville in their only playoff appearance in 18 years. So, Jacksonville's just not a place for. I don't know why Bills fans keep coming. I told them that last time they were here. They were all running their mouths when they left. Oh, we'll go to the playoffs. So I was like, whatever. You still can't win here.
You know what's funny, Johnny, is our very own Patty Bax at iSports Radio. She hosts our Buffalo show. Kind of funny. She even said that in her interview yesterday for the AFC East. She even said it. She says, I don't know what it is. She's like, I think we're cursed in Jacksonville. She's like, I went. She's like, and we couldn't win. She says, every time we go there, we can't win. It was just kind of funny you'd bring that up, too, because to hear the other side, because it's a trip, like, it really is crazy. This team cannot get it done over there. And you guys, of course, just happen to play. And Johnny, I share your pain, man. I mean, as I already let you know, I'm a Raider fan. I love my team, through and through. We've had our fair share of 4-12 and 5-11, of course, before last season when there was an extra game added, which I think is really stupid. But anyway, I just really, I know what you mean. Like, it was just so painful. Just, all right, here we go. Sunday, I got my jersey on. Here I am, hopeful, excited, ready to go. And then the touchdowns just start raining down on us, and we look pitiful. Don't even go on Twitter because everyone's making fun of my team. I get friends texting me, telling me how horrible we look and that we're trash and this, and that. I mean, it's the truth, then. It's like, I remember going to high school during all of this, too. I mean, it's like, man, like I don't even mind a loss, but can we not lose 47-6? Like, can we stop that crap? So I totally get what you mean, man. I totally get you. But so with that said, yeah, last year 3-14. I mean, you start off with a major 5-game skid. You get a nice victory over the Dolphins. I ain't screwed. I'm just gonna go over the schedule. So a loss over to the Seattle Seahawks. Then that big win over the Bills. Then a major skid for pretty much the rest of the season. And then a victory over Indianapolis. And kind of funny, we were just talking right now before we got on air. As I mentioned, I was a Raider fan. It's funny how you said, like your last game of the Coliseum was a loss to the Jaguars. And, look at this year. You guys beat the Buffalo Bills. I mean, it's kind of funny. Like, it sucks, though, that you guys, the records and everything. But at the end of the day, you look at you guys and, you don't mind playing upsetter. You guys can still get it done sometimes over some pretty solid teams like the Bills. I mean, why do you think that is?
Honestly, I think sometimes it's just a little fluky. It's also, it depends on, who you're talking about. Like, for example, a lot of people don't realize this, but the Colts haven't won in Jacksonville in 6 seasons. And they play here every year. And they're always the better team. I mean, the Colts were easily the better team than us last year. I mean, they came out of that Vegas game where they played your Raiders and you guys beat them. Mm-hmm. And all they needed to do was beat the worst team in the NFL, and they were going to the playoffs. That's all they needed to do. Come down here and beat the Jaguars. And what happened? They didn't just lose to us. They got their, their socks knocked off.
They did.
Like, I mean, my favorite, I've rewatched that Hard Knocks episode 5 times this offseason because when Darius Leonard says, they're laughing, they're having a good time, they're moving the ball like they want to. That's right, bitch, we were.
Well deserved. You know what, man? I'll tell you right now. And see, that's just one of those things. I mean, hey, at the end of the day, it's the NFL, man. Every one of these guys, I mean, I tell, I coach high school football, and I just, and I mean, I even play semi-pro. I tell a lot of my young guys, I think it's like 1% even goes, or like maybe 2% goes to college and actually plays. And 1% of all of those guys actually get to the NFL. So these are freakishly amazing athletes on the field, but a lot goes into it. Sometimes just coaching, sometimes them just not doing their part. And, that's what happens, man. I mean, at that level, it's so small. It's so small of a margin. I mean, a guy runs, couple more sprints than you did. Guess what? You end up getting beat. You know what I mean? You end up getting beat like in the most craziest moment of the game. I mean, it's so thin. So at the end of the day, it's just like, hey, what are they doing? What are they not doing? Coaching. What's coaching doing? What are they not doing? I mean, it's incredible, man. The margins of error, they're so small at this level. So with that said, let's take a quick look here at free agency. I know you guys had some solid pickups here. I really want to know your thoughts on this. I was high on this guy coming into the draft a couple years ago, and he was a little older, but you guys will take Brandon Scherf from the Commanders. I thought he was a solid freaking guard. I remember seeing him in Hinckley in like 450 or something like that back when he was at Iowa when he got drafted years ago. So you guys picked up guys like him. You would pick up Darius Williams, corner from the Rams. Zay Jones from my Raiders, heading on over to you guys. I think he's a solid wide receiver, and I really hope he can make some big plays for you guys. Other than that, once again, just a lot of moves, lots of different moves here, and then some departures, of course. The elephant in the room, Miles Jack, heading on over to the Steelers. I know you already mentioned him a few minutes ago. AJ Cann headed on over to enemy territory for you guys. The Texans, David Bryan heading on over to the Browns. Jihad Ward heading to the Giants. I mean, just all these moving pieces. Johnny, let us know, man. What did you think about free agency this year for your Jags?
I thought they did pretty good. I think there were some really underrated signings. I think Christian Kirk is going to be a great wide receiver for us. I don't think he's a number one, and I'm not a guy that gets upset about money. I know when we signed Kirk, everybody blew up about how much money we gave him, but I don't care. It's not my money, and that's fine with me. But I don't believe that he's a number one wide receiver. I think he's going to be really, really good for us, but I don't think he's going to be a number one. The reason that doesn't upset me that much is if you go back and look at Doug Peterson's 2017 Super Bowl run, you can't tell me who the number one wide receiver on that team was because they didn't have one. They distributed the ball pretty evenly across their wide receivers and their tight ends, and there wasn't one guy that stood out and had huge numbers. So considering that we signed Christian and we signed Evan Ingram, who, by all accounts is just an athletic freak. I know Giants fans are like, oh, he drops the ball. Yeah, well, sometimes you just need a change of scenery. A couple of years ago, the Chargers cut a kicker named Josh Lambo because he couldn't get it through the uprights to save his life.
That's
and
right.
Then he came to the Jags, and he was the most accurate kicker in the NFL 4 years in a row, and that's including Justin Tucker. So, sometimes you just need a change of scenery. As far as Miles leaving, I loved Miles. Miles is one of the most amazing athletes out there, but the talk that kept coming out of the building was that Miles couldn't play middle linebacker and get the defense lined up fast enough. Every time they tried to give him the green dot, the defense was out of position. He was relying on Andrew Wingard and a couple of other guys back there to line people up properly. And so they moved him back out of middle linebacker, and everything that's come out of the building is that he freelanced too much, and he would be out of position trying to rely on his athleticism to make the difference. And that's not what you need out of your linebackers. So, letting Miles go is probably going to hurt, but we're moving from a 4-3 base to a 3-4. And I think Foy Oluokun is just going to be an amazing addition to this defense. Devin Lloyd and Chad Muma as the two linebackers that we picked up. I know we haven't talked about the draft yet, but I think Foy is just going to be phenomenal. And if I'm not mistaken, he led the NFL in tackles with the Falcons last year. So, not always a great stat because sometimes you're going, well, how far past the line of scrimmage was it? But in this case, it looks to me like he's going to be a pretty solid pickup. Brandon Scherf is just the man. The thing with Brandon Scherf is whether or not he can stay healthy, and you pretty much have to, you pretty much have to accept that you're going to probably lose him for 3 or 4 games every season. But if you've got a decent swing, which we've got Ben Barch and we've got Tyler Shatley that can play that position, I think it's a really good pickup. We definitely needed to improve the offensive line because Trevor was under pressure, I think, more than any other escaped pressure more than any other quarterback in the NFL last year, which is bad. It's good that he can do it, but I don't want him having to. So, and then I'm not gonna lie, I think we should have kept DJ Chark instead of signed Zay Jones, but I think part of that is DJ just didn't want to be here anymore. I don't think he appreciated the fact that ownership brought in Urban Miller. We don't call him Urban Meyer because he couldn't remember any of the players' names. So, I don't think he appreciated that. He never seemed to like the level of coaching that he was getting. And I'll be completely honest with you. I know Cowboys fans, I think he went to the Cowboys. Cowboys fans are talking about this coach that was our wide receivers coach last year, and his name is escaping me right now. But I have to be honest with you. You can go back and watch our games, and if you look on the sidelines, no wide receiver is ever speaking to the wide receivers coach when they come to the sideline. He's not coaching them at all. I think it's why Laviska Shenault had such a terrible year last year, why he reverted so bad. I just think, the entire coaching staff last year, I'm sure there were some good coaches on there, but for the most part, I think they were checked out. If not a month into the season, definitely by the time Urban got fired. And so I think DJ kind of held that against ownership a little bit, as, like, hey, you brought this guy in here, and he was just total trash. So overall, I'm pretty happy with free agency. I would have liked to see a number 1 wide receiver. Oh, and I forgot my boy. They also signed Arden Key off the 49ers.
Yes.
And I'm very excited about that. Very excited about that. So I think he's underrated. I think I saw a stat that last year Bosa was 7th in quarterback pressures, and Arden Key was 14th. So that's pretty dang good when you're playing on a team with Bosa sucking up all them pressures, and you're getting there still. So I'm really excited about him being in the rotation in the middle of the defense.
Johnny, that's crazy you even bring that up because, Arden Key was a Raider too, man. And honestly, I liked what he brought. I know maybe he didn't perform the best. I mean, he was a little bit younger and everything. But at the end of the day, man, I thought he was he's somebody who showed so many sparks of greatness. I think he's going to go off for you guys. I did not know they were switching from a 40 front to a 30. That, to me, that just, so many things are popping up right now. Because getting into the draft, I know you already kind of did, which is perfectly fine. Because, I can just go over a few picks here. You already talked about a few of them. But first overall pick in the entire freaking draft, Travon Walker, defensive end out of Georgia. It makes so much sense, Johnny. In a 30 front, realistically, defensive ends, yes, you still kind of have outside contain. But in a 30, it's a guessing game. We always call it the guessing game defense because that fourth pressure is coming. You just really don't know from where. And of course, it could also not come. But at the same exact time, the majority of the time when there is pressure, I just kind of feel like that outside backer, depending on the situation, is more of your contain, and they just want somebody to fly to the ball. Realistically, they just want dogs on the outside to just go. You want the big plug in the middle, the big monster man in the middle to two gap to control to control both A gaps, and two guys to fly off the edge and just be insane and let your backers, back you up on the outside. That's not always the case. Like I said, I know it can change up from scheme to scheme, what teams do. Totally understand that, adjustments and everything. But typically, that's what you got. So I can totally see that now. That's crazy, Travon Walker. But anyway, so then we have Devin Lloyd, another inside linebacker from Utah. Amazing. I'm a Pac-12 guy. I'm tremendously pissed off that my stupid Trojans want to leave to go to the Big Ten, which is really annoying me. But anyway, I'm a Pac-12 guy, and I saw a lot of Devin Lloyd. This guy is a freak of nature. I really hope that he goes over there and sparks that damn defense so hard because he is an athlete, man. So at least that's what I think. I liked him a lot at Utah, and I just knew that wherever he goes, I think he's going to play really, really well. Of course, we're yet to see that, but at least that's what I think based off of when I saw him play last year. So you guys can pick both of them up in the first round. Third round, Luke Fortner, center out of Kentucky, solid center there. Chad Muma, as you mentioned already, another linebacker from Wyoming. So, overall, man, you guys had a solid draft. I know you kind of already talked about them. But anyway, any players you maybe not have spoken about? Overall, what did you think about this draft for your Jaguars?
I think it was great. I wouldn't have picked Trayvon. I wanted him to pick Hutchinson, but having seen him out there now, I understand why they did. He is far and away. He almost looks like he's a computer-generated person because of how long his arms are. When you first look at him and you go, that can't be a human being. And that's standing around with other gigantic football players, and he still dwarfs them all. So, I totally understand why they took him, and I think his athletic freakishness it's just too good to pass up. The big question is, putting him at outside linebacker, is he going to be able to drop back and cover when he has to? And he's got the length for it. So, with him and Josh Allen playing the outside backer positions, and then Foy and Devin in the middle, we're going to have a really tough linebacking core to beat, which is something we haven't had in a long time. I'm excited about both of those first round picks, but I've also in high school I played center, so I always pay attention to the centers. And Luke Fortner, I'm excited about him because not only is he's older than Trevor. He played for 5 years. He's 24 years old, but he's also exactly what Peterson wants in a center. He's athletic and he can move and he's super smart. A lot of people don't realize this, but I'm pretty sure he played at Kentucky, but he graduated from, I want to say, Yale with a master's in mechanical engineering, maybe?
Oh, wow.
So, he's super smart. So that I always think that it's really important to have a center that is that kind of, able to just really understand football and protections and somebody that you can lean on. It could have been Harvard. I'm not sure, but I know it was one of those schools. He went back to play football after he'd already graduated. So, it's kind of his whole story is kind of crazy, but, and they've got him out there with the ones. Training camp started on Sunday and he's been in the first team reps the whole training camp. So, I think they see him as the center of the future. A lot of people thought when our center was Brandon Linder, and he retired this offseason, a lot of people thought that Tyler Shatley, who's been with the team a long time and has kind of been our swing guy on the line, I think a lot of people thought he was going to take that center position until Luke Fortner was ready to go. But it doesn't look like Peterson's thinking that way because Fortner's been out there with the ones pretty much the whole time. Which is good because you want your quarterback and your center to really get a feel for each other. I know one of the other guys that's in camp, I can't remember his name, but he had so many bad snaps yesterday they benched him. You got to be doing pretty terrible as a center to get benched at training camp like the third day. So
yeah, seriously.
That's
crazy.
So I'm excited about him, and I think that. I think Muma was a steal. I honestly believe that if they had known for sure that Chad Muma was going to be there, they might not have drafted Devin Lloyd. Not that Muma is better than Lloyd. Just I don't think they were planning on taking two linebackers. I think Muma was just sitting there and they're, crap, we can't not take this guy. He's too good.
Yeah.
So,
Johnny, number one thing, that's really cool you played center, man. Okay, look, as a freshman, before I got my taste of defense, I played center for a season, and you know what, man? Honestly, center, it's incredible. Like, some guys think that, you're just a big offensive lineman. And don't get me wrong. Now, as a defensive lineman, battling these guys every Saturday, and of course, just being against offensive linemen pretty much my entire football career. You learn to not like the guys, but you can definitely respect the hell out of their athleticism and how truly remarkable these athletes really are. They're the strongest guys in the field, and when you get a big boy out there that can move and who's freakishly strong and who's intelligent and has football IQ, That's scary, man. I played against some strong, solid centers in my day at nose. I played against some nasty offensive linemen. You know, honestly, it's crazy to think that you get guys who just know the game so well, but on top of that, you have a guy like this. I mean, I think that's pretty crazy, man. I did not know that about Fortner. How about that? I mean, really, Johnny, how about that? You know, I'm going to go get my mechanical engineering degree, and then I'm going to go play football. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
how awesome is that? So it's true, man. I mean, I once heard this, and I don't know if you ever heard this before. This could be a myth. I don't know. But I once heard that Bill Belichick, and once again, this is like the game of telephone. It gets distorted down the line, and I was sure I was far down the line. But I once heard that Bill Belichick likes to draft players that have like a higher GPA than a 3.0. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure if there was an absolute psycho athlete that he just wasn't going to pass up that had a freaking 2.1 or something, I'm sure he didn't pass them up. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But at the end of the day, some of these guys that were like no-names coming out that he turned into amazing players or that were already good, but he just saw something pass, I don't know, I heard that he liked to draft guys that have solid GPAs coming out of high school. Now, that does say a lot about like intelligence and maybe IQ, but then again, it may not mean anything. I don't know. But really quick sidebar, what do you think about that? I mean, do you think there's something to that, Johnny, or you think it's like, no, I just think the athlete, you know, IQ or not, depending, it doesn't matter how smart they are. I don't know. What do you think about that personally?
I think it matters. I think that football IQ is different than, you know, like regular IQ. I'm not saying that anybody's necessarily a genius or not a genius, but
Yeah.
There are definitely athleticism when it's paired with an ability to understand the game is special, and I don't think you make it to the NFL unless you have both of those things.
Yeah.
Some of these guys, you know, like sometimes I know people will see certain players talk and they think, well, that guy doesn't sound very smart. Man, some people just aren't good, speakers. I don't think that necessarily is a reflection of their IQ. It's just, or even their football IQ. It's just a matter of some people are more outgoing and like to talk like that, and some people don't. Trayvon so far has appeared like, you know, he speaks fine to the media, but he's I think if you got him off to the side and you asked him, he'd rather not ever have to talk to anybody. He's just not that guy.
Yeah.
Greg Jones used to play for us as fullback. He was the same way. Like, you know, you'd hear Greg talk and you could barely get him to say anything, but if you were talking to him at training camp and it was just one-on-one, the dude understood football better than almost anybody I ever met. So, I think they all have it if they get to that level. It's like you said, they're the 1% of the 1% when they're playing in this league. Even the worst guy in the NFL is still one of the best athletes on the planet.
Exactly. No, you're absolutely correct. And yeah, man, it's not easy to get there. You know, you played the game. I know I played the game. It's the truth, man. I mean, you just have to be at a level that's it feels like it's unworldly, man. It's amazing. So with that said, couple more things to talk about here. I know we're in a little bit over on time, but it's all good, man. It's great talking football with you, Johnny. So really fast, man, let's talk about these Jaguars and in this season. So AFC South schedule, of course, on the board. We know that. That's a given. But looks like this year you guys will also take on the AFC West, which is definitely not an easy division to take on this season. And it looks like the NFC North, if I'm not mistaken. Nope, I'm an idiot. It's not. It is the is it? It's the let's see here. The AFC, I always feel like it's a dummy. Sometimes I'm not prepared looking at these here. So it looks like the AFC East. Yes, sorry, the NFC East and the AFC West. That's who you guys are taking on this year. And then it looks like the outlier teams that are in neither.
The Lions.
Yeah, the Lions and the Giants. Well, what do you think, Johnny? Looking at the schedule this year, looking at all those great pickups you made, looking at all the positivity surrounding this team, what do you really think Wow, I was an idiot. What do you really think your Jaguars can do this year?
I've got them going 7 and 10. I think there's some games that might surprise me, but for the most part, I think they're going to beat the teams that they should beat, and they're going to probably lose to the others. I think it's hard for me to pick a road win on to open the season, but the Commanders. I just don't believe that Doug Peterson is going to lose to a team led by Carson Wentz. Doug Peterson understands Carson Wentz. He knows how he thinks, and I just don't think we're going to lose that game. So I've got us beating the Commanders. The Colts come to Jacksonville the next week. Obviously, we're going to win that. They haven't won here in 6 years. But then we go to the Chargers. In addition to Justin Herbert just being an amazing quarterback, the Jaguars are terrible when they travel to the West Coast. They have been basically their entire existence. So I don't see us winning that one. I don't think we're going to beat the Eagles because I know everybody's like, oh, it's Peterson's return to form and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but you're still playing in Philly, and on paper, they're just a better team. The only thing I would say is, as much as this is going to upset the Alabama fans listening, Trevor Lawrence is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts, and that's the only thing I will say is, if Jalen Hurts does what Jalen Hurts sometimes does, which is, my wife's an Alabama fan, so I watch a lot of Alabama football. Jalen Hurts makes crazy, stupid decisions sometimes. I mean, just really dumb decisions sometimes. So, that one could go our way, but I don't think so. And then I've got us beating the Texans, losing to the Colts, beating the Giants, losing to the Broncos, losing to the Raiders, which, I'd like to beat your Raiders, but I've got us losing to the Chiefs, losing to the Ravens, beating the Lions, losing to the Titans, losing to the Cowboys, beating the Jets, losing to the Texans, and then the big question mark for me is the end of the season we play the Titans, and we haven't beaten the Titans in a long time. I want to say it's either 6 or 7 years now. But I think we're going to win that game. I've got us winning that game. So, 7-10 in Doug's first year, a lot of my fellow fans won't take that. That's not good enough. To me, I am really tired of the narrative that comes out of the Jaguars building that a rebuild takes a long time. It shouldn't take a long time. But I do think 2 years is reasonable. So Doug needs to have us playing competitive football this year. We win 7 games, I'll be happy. And next year, we need to be pushing for the AFC South crown. And that's just the way it needs to be. And I'm not saying I'll for sure be calling for Doug to be fired if that's not what's happened. But 2 years is enough to turn around, especially when you have a generational talent like Trevor Lawrence at quarterback. I mean, we've already wasted 1 year of his rookie deal, and you know as well as I do, those rookie deals are really when you can afford to build the team around him, because come 4 or 5 years from now, we're going to have to give Trevor who knows how much money we're going to have to give him. So it's now. Now is the time.
You're absolutely correct. Yeah, it's the truth. That contract will be big, but it'll be worth it because, once again, hey, I'm that kind of guy where, I love food. I can't help it. Big boy, love eating, love some good food. Johnny, I have no problem paying top dollar for a damn good steak, a big, strong steak, but it better be worth it. You know what I mean? So, in my opinion, I feel the same exact way. I have no problem paying as long as we get, what it's worth. So, I feel like Lawrence is worth it, and yeah, I mean, should be a big contract, but man, the guy is, you're absolutely right, generational talent. So, with that said, Johnny, one last thing to do. This is always a fun segment. If my voice would get straight. Oh, man, over there coaching and all that, yelling. Anyway, with that said, one more segment to go, and of course, is a fun little segment here. We'll have to call Stick It To 'Em. It's a little bit of fun where we get to take some jabs at the other teams around your division, of course. There's 3 teams that you can't stand, and they can't stand you right back. That's what makes the rivalries even more fun. All respect at the end of the day, but man, it's so much fun to just talk some crap and have some fun. So, with that said, Johnny, we will go ahead and talk about how those 3 teams will, the other 3 teams, they will do this season. And of course, don't hesitate to let us know how you feel about those teams, of course. But you have 2 minutes on the clock here. Johnny, stick it to them.
All right. Well, first of all, we got what are they? The Houston Texans. I can't even tell you what a Texan is. I know they got a cow on their logo, but that's a cow. It's not a Texan. They're rolling something out at quarterback called a Davis Mills. We play a lot of golf in Jacksonville, and I think that's a golf pro at one of the local country clubs here. I'm not sure, but I know it's not a quarterback in the NFL, at least not one that's going to be good. I hear them all talking, oh, Davis Mills, he was so good last year. Yeah, so was Gardner Minshew. It's all over, buddy. If the guy was any good, they would have drafted him higher than that. And then you move north to the Indianapolis Colts, and these idiots seem to think that 200-year-old Matt Ryan is the answer to their problem. Buddy, you had Andrew Luck, and you couldn't get anything done. Matt Ryan's not going to do it for you. So they're all, oh, we're going to finally be able to do what we want. And all you had to do was beat the worst team in the NFL to make the playoffs last year, and you couldn't even do that. Oh, it was Carson Wentz's fault. What do you think's going to happen to Matt Ryan? He's literally like 1,000 years old. His best football was 5 years ago, and even that wasn't that great. So, okay, whatever. I'm right down the road from Atlanta. I know all about Matt Ryan. Wah, wah. I'm not scared. Then you move to the most reviled team in our division, the Hill people in Tennessee. I don't know who decided that the Houston Oilers, venerable franchise that it was, needed to move to some weird mayonnaise-loving mountain region in backwoods nowhere, but that's what we wound up with. So you've got these guys that roll out of the holler after they get out of bed with their sister or their mom or whoever it is they're married to and roll down to this stadium. I'm telling you right now, the last time I went to a game in Tennessee, they were literally wearing those overalls that you go hunting in. Every single fan in the stadium had them on. It was the goofiest looking thing I've ever seen. They have a halftime show, no kidding, where they come out and they give the highlights of the rest of the league, you know, like we all do at all our stadiums. But their guy, I'm not making this up, comes out in overalls and a straw hat and does it like it's a hee-haw segment, and they love it. It is the goofiest thing I have ever seen.
My goodness.
Those people are not going to take the division again. They are betting on 28-year-old broken down Derrick Henry, who couldn't even finish the season last year. Oh, but he was leading the NFL in rushing before he got hurt. Yes, and when I weighed 200 pounds, I was sexy, but now I don't weigh 200 pounds. He's over. He's old. Ryan Tannehill is not going to lift your team to victory. You literally took a quarterback that the Miami Dolphins didn't want. You know why they didn't want him anymore? Because he's not even a quarterback. The guy played wide receiver in high school. You think he's so good because Derrick Henry's been good, but that's over. Your coach looks like a WWE reject, and your fan base is the creepiest, weirdest-looking group of people I've ever seen in my life. So we'll be fine. I'm not worried about anybody in this division.
Oh, my gosh. Wow, John, you went in, man. Oh my gosh. Well, all thoughts and comments, opinions are their own here at IE Sports Radio. Man, that's crazy, Johnny. You know what? At the end of the day, brother, you definitely can talk trash with the best of them, and you know what? Like I said, it's all love. But we definitely know that your Jaguars look like a team with, I mean, they look like it. We have to find out, but overall, I think you guys can compete, and should be pretty exciting for you guys this year. But hey, thanks again, ladies and gentlemen. Johnny, man, where's that applause button, man? Thanks again for spending some time with us here today. Certainly appreciate you, and we look forward to definitely having you back here on a future show. Let all these diehard Jaguars fans know where to find you, man.
Duval.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Well, with that said, Johnny, hey, man, thanks again, brother. We appreciate you so much for being here today, and you have your wonderful rest of your week, man. Take care, and we'll have you back on a future show soon.
Thanks.
Anytime. Take care. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that is that. Definitely appreciate Johnny for stopping by. Once again, all thoughts, comments, and opinions are theirs. Of course, as for Johnny here. And, you know, we always like to, get a little heated and everything here, have a little bit of fun. But, hey, at the end of the day, it happens. We all have, we all jump on and have some fun with the trash talk. And, well, sometimes we end up with a little more. So, with that said, you guys, we really appreciate each and every one of you for being on this show here today, because we have many more to come. I see Aaron in the chat room right now saying he loves the trash talking here. 200-year-old Matt Ryan. And, of course, we're talking with him next. So, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for the end of, well, that will do it for the Jackson Jaguars. And, well, when we get back, we'll jump on it for the shoe. Hashtag for the shoe as we talk Indianapolis Colts with Mr. Aaron X coming on up right after this. Once again, you're listening to 3 and Out, 8 Divisions in 8 Days, AFC Week, day number 3, talking AFC South. Once again, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We're talking Colts right after this.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back, football fans. Here we are, AFC South Day, right here on 3 and Out, 8 Days. Day number 3 of AFC Week, as we are chomping away at the AFC South. We just finished up talking Texans and Jaguars. Well, here we are now, getting ready to talk about them Indianapolis Colts. What a team to follow. I mean, in the 2000s, when I started really getting into football, all throughout high school and middle school, you had the Peyton Manning era. Then we thought we had the Andrew Luck era. That ended, and, well, it's been trying to figure out what's going on ever since. I'll tell you, this team has been something else. But I'll tell you right now, they have, at least I would think, a bright future. But let's talk about this team right now. So, with that said, coming aboard to help me out talk about these Indianapolis Colts, a man by way of Indiana, of course, die-hard Indiana sports fan. And oh yeah, he's also the host of the Crossroads Pod, the Indiana sports feed, if you will, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Ladies and gentlemen, glad to have me here. Die-hard Indiana sports fan, and of course, die-hard Indiana Colts fan, and overall great guy. Welcoming Mr. Aaron X. What's going on, Aaron? How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on the show.
Hey, man. Great having you, and thanks again. Certainly going to be a fun one here today. Let's get on into these Colts, shall we? So last year, the AFC South, Titans 12-5, and then that was it. I mean, seriously, the Colts, a close, I guess a distant second, if you will, 9-8, and then a real distant third. The Texans at 4-13, and then the Jaguars right behind them at 3-14. Just a wow, man. Talk about a crazy year for that division. The Titans kind of just cakewalked right on through. But you guys are still the Colts. Just got to make some minor tweaks. Looking at your guys' schedule last year, 9-8, you went 3-3 in the division in the AFC South. And then you start things off with just wow. You get hit hard. First 3 games, Seattle, Los Angeles Rams. Crazy part is you played the soon-to-be Super Bowl champions very hard and only lost by 3 points, 27-24. And then a tough loss to Tennessee. You would defeat Miami, lose a close one in overtime to the Ravens, and then a two-game win streak over Houston and the Niners, which is very impressive. The team that got away with the NFC Championship. You would lose a close one to the Titans in overtime. A 3-game win streak over the Jets, Jaguars, and Bills. A close loss to the Buccaneers, 38-31. It was a touchdown difference. A victory, big blowout victory over the Houston Texans before the bye week. You would continue that as you would extend that win streak to 3 with a victory over the New England Patriots and then the Cardinals. And then you would end out the season with 2 losses, 1 to my Raiders and 1 to the Jaguars, and that was that. Aaron, can you give us every raw emotion as a Colts fan last year?
Last year was a roller coaster as a Colts fan. Traditionally, the Colts don't start out very well. I don't think that they've had a winning 2-game winning streak to start a season for several years. And that's the opposite of the way that they were back in the Peyton Manning era. It seemed like we got off to really great starts and maybe drop a couple here and there, but they would have put some distance between them and the rest of the AFC South. But last year, their schedule, obviously the teams that we played were really good teams, and we got put behind the 8 ball. I think that Frank Reich coaches best when his back is against the wall, and I think they rebounded well. But I think that, and I don't want to belabor this point, but obviously we'll get into this a bit later, but I think the quarterback change is going to make a tremendous difference going forward. Carson Wentz really cost the Colts both of the games against the Titans. In both of those games, he was guilty of playing a little bit of hero ball and threw some terrible interceptions that cost both of those games. Not to say that it wasn't a team effort, but I think having Matt Ryan at the quarterback position starting going forward, I think it's going to bring quite a bit of a difference to the Colts team, and I think they're going to be able to put last year behind. I don't think the spread between the Colts and the Titans is that far, and I think there is a good potential that the Colts could win the AFC South this year.
You guys look good. Honestly, Aaron, you guys look like you have a solid team as of right now. But let's take a look here. And great stuff, man. Way to sum up last year and close the door on that one. Let's move on to this season and take a look at free agency. You guys had a pretty, I don't know, it's what you want to call it, I think, as a Colts fan. I think it was pretty solid myself. But the Commanders, the Colts, they had a little trade this last offseason. And, well, Carson Wentz will head on over to the Commanders. We'll see. Now we have Matt Ryan coming on over from the Falcons. Is he the guy? We'll see. So now we have here Stephon Gilmore now is coming on over to be a Colt for the Panthers. You guys, Yannick Ngakoue, honestly, he was pretty good with my team, with the Raiders. I liked him. A little bit of, concern on stopping the run. But at the end of the day, he's only getting better every year. I feel like you guys got a solid player in him, and he's going to continue to get better. Pretty good edge rusher there. And you guys just continue. Foles will come on over now from the Bears. We have Jack Pascal. You guys will send on over to the Eagles. Philip Lindsay is coming on over from Miami. I mean, as you can see, there's moves all over the place. Marlon Mack, that was a crazy one to see because I've seen him in a Colts uniform for a while. He's now headed on over to the Texans. So Rock Ya-Sin is heading from the Colts to the Raiders. So many moves around here. What did you think personally about these free agency moves? And of course, there's lots of them I didn't get to. Please feel free to address any of them I didn't get to. But Aaron, the floor is yours, man. What did you think about the Colts free agency this year?
Well, first of all, I think that the Colts fleeced the Washington Commanders with the trade for a third-round pick for Carson Wentz. I really think that the Colts were going to cut Carson Wentz when it came to that time. And I think the fact that we were able to get some value out of Carson Wentz, a third-round pick that we ultimately turned into Matt Ryan, is absolutely positively a net gain for the Indianapolis Colts. With regard to the Yannick Ngakoue signing, and the trade for Rock Ya-Sin. I think what you're getting in Las Vegas in Rock Ya-Sin is a good young player who was blossoming, had a really, really rough year with penalties. His first year in the league was very handsy when he started to get panicked and he got those personal interference or pass interference calls against him. But he played much better last year and much more solid. I think that the Colts got the better end of that deal as well, though, with Ngakoue coming to the Colts, because one of the things that the Colts have really struggled with over the last years since they lost Robert Mathis and Dwight Freeney from those heyday years was pass rush. We just have not been able to generate a pass rush with our front four. And Ngakoue, as you indicated, he's not the best against the run, but I think he's going to bring that every pass down, pass rush effort that the Colts need. And I think if we can put some pressure on the quarterback with the front four, I think it's going to make the rest of the defense play quite a bit better. And so I'm very much looking forward to seeing him in the blue and white and putting pressure on the quarterback. With regard to Gilmore, my philosophy with Gilmore is this. I mean, obviously, his history speaks for itself. What a wonderful player, a former defensive player of the year. He's not at that caliber anymore, given his age. He's 32 years of age, and probably did not play at that level for the Carolina Panthers. With that being said, if we can get 75 to 80% of defensive player of the year, Stephon Gilmore, the Colts are picking up a great player. And I'm really glad that they made that move. I'm glad that they made that signing. I think it makes the secondary quite a bit better. And then lastly, with regard to the signing of Philip Lindsay, I think that he is a good insurance policy. We have two very solid running backs in front of him. We've got obviously the league's leading rusher and Jonathan Taylor leading the way, and he's going to get the vast majority of the carries. And then behind him, we have Nyheim Hines, who is going to play the gadget position for the Colts. He's going to get some carries to spell Taylor, but he's also going to go out into the slot and be also a receiver. But bringing in Lindsay, he is a spell back. And if he can return to some of the form that he had when he had 2 1,000-yard rushing seasons with the Broncos, we've picked up somebody that can really carry the ball and tote the rock when we need someone when the others are tired. And the NFL is brutal. So if there are injuries that occur, then obviously it'll be nice to have Lindsay there in the fold. But I think the Colts overall have improved their team. I think starting with the quarterback position, I think that's a major pickup. I think that the other players are going to fit extremely well into particularly what new defensive coordinator Gus Bradley wants to do. And so I'm really looking forward to watching them play. I do wish, and I moan about this every week in my podcast, every week. I wish that they would have brought in a veteran receiver. I really feel like the room that we have right now is a little bit too young. I think they're flush with talent, but they're unproven. And I think that a veteran coming in, say a Julio Jones, would be somebody that could come in and give a little bit of steadiness to the wide receiver room and give a good, reliable target for Matt Ryan. But our general manager doesn't see it that way. He wants to let the young guys play, get those reps, and get better. I hope he's right. I hope I'm wrong, but I have a feeling that I'm right.
And that's a bummer, but yeah, I would love to see a big-time receiver going over there. I mean, my goodness, when was the last? I can't even think. My gosh, was that? No, it couldn't have been that long ago. But the last time, at least to my knowledge, the last time that we seen a absolutely dominant Colts wide receiver, do you know who I'm going to say?
I'm going to probably say Reggie Wayne or Marvin Harrison.
Or who? What was that?
Marvin Harrison.
Exactly. Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, two major receivers. But yes, yeah, Marvin Harrison. I'm sorry, I don't know why. Reggie Wayne would have been the second name out of my mouth. But yeah, Marvin Harrison, absolutely. The Colts need that. The Marvin Harrison for the Colts is the Randy Moss for the Vikings. You know what I mean? Like that guy. That guy who defensive coordinators just lose sleep over. So I totally know what you mean, man. And you know, as well as I grew up watching Peyton Manning to Harrison. I mean, just amazing talent there, and it's incredible to think of how much that true one wide receiver is. So I'm totally with you, Aaron, 100%. I do think that should be a huge goal of these Colts, man. You need to get that number one wide receiver. So with that said, let's take a look at that Colts draft, Aaron. You guys, no first round pick, but a guy by the name of Alec Pierce will come on over, and I don't know, watch him break out and become that guy. But then again, we don't know. But Alec Pierce is solid. Coming out of Cincinnati, the guy is an amazing wide receiver. He has, without a doubt, one of the best underdog roles to possibly play. I mean, he's coming on in as a guy that was a part of one of the best ever Cincinnati teams we've ever seen, okay, the Bearcats. And you know what? Yeah. He played, I guess, they were the underdog, and now let him come in here to the NFL and just be like, yeah, okay, you got to prove yourself. Well, watch him do it. I mean, I think he can. Will he? We'll see. But solid pickup for you guys. Wide receiver out of Cincinnati. Jelani Woods, tight end out of Virginia. You guys pick up Bernard Riemann, I believe, offensive lineman out of Central Michigan. So solid pickups, man. Nick Cross, safety out of Maryland. Overall, that wasn't everybody, but you can go further into depth if you'd like. But I'll tell you right now, you Colts fans, I think, really did have a under the radar, pretty solid draft. Now, what did you think, Aaron, about this draft?
Well, for what it's worth, I agree with you. I think that the draft, Ballard, I think it does a masterful job in drafting. That's probably his strength and his forte. He does pick some duds every once in a while, but what team doesn't? Every team in the NFL drafts, and sometimes you hit and sometimes you miss, but you got to have more hits than misses. Looking at Alec Pierce, and the jury's still out. You never know on a wide receiver whether or not a player will translate from the college level to the NFL. There's always a question mark. I don't care where they've played at school, whether it's Alabama or Ball State. Doesn't matter. Every once in a while, players from those smaller schools come in and they blossom, and some of the players from the larger schools don't. Mm-hmm. The fact that he played at Cincinnati does not bother me at all. I remember watching him play against Notre Dame when Cincinnati beat Notre Dame this season, and he tore them up. They couldn't stop him. And if he has that type of ability, and Ballard loves him, I think he has the athleticism that he brings to the table. I think he's got good hand skills. I think if you get him the ball in his general vicinity, he's going to catch it. So I'm excited, but the jury's still out. You got to wait and see what happens and see if they can make that adjustment. I've also noticed it usually takes wide receivers, at least half a season before they can catch up to the speed of the NFL game. With regard to Jelani Wood, he is mouthwateringly, tantalizingly talented. I really look forward to watching him play. He played at Virginia. They didn't run an extremely high caliber passing offense there, so I don't think he got a lot of attempts. But my goodness gracious, what a physical specimen! He's 6'7", and he runs. I think it was a 4.7 in the 40-yard dash. Just what a weapon if he develops, if he can catch the ball. What a weapon! And then Bernard, I think it's Ryman, is how he pronounces his last name. He's actually from Eastern Europe and went to Central Michigan. And I think that they drafted him in the third round with the intention of he being the heir apparent to the left tackle position. I don't think he's going to get it this year. At least I hope not. I hope who we have at the left tackle position and will win the spot. And he's going to have to sit and wait and learn because that's such an important position upon the offensive line, protecting the quarterback's blind side. But he has good talent, and I look forward to seeing him grow and be groomed in that position. And then the last individual that you mentioned, safety Nick Cross. They actually traded up to acquire Nick Cross, and his athleticism is absolutely off the charts. He played at Maryland. He can cover the field fast, good cover skills. And he is going to be plugged and placed into the exact right position with the Indianapolis Colts because we had an early retirement that we weren't anticipating. Kari Woods elected to retire from the NFL, and he was going to be scheduled to be what we call our off safety. And Nick Cross has the opportunity to come right into camp. He has the opportunity to compete for that position. And it's scary to put someone who's only 21 or 20, he's only 20 years old, into the safety position right off of the bat. But if you can get him in there and put him beside Blackman, who was our draft pick a couple of years ago and is a very good safety, I just think that we've got a good tandem back there. So when you say under the radar, yeah, we didn't have that first round pick, but I think that Chris Ballard did about as darn good as he could have given where we selected. So I'm very happy.
Yes, that's what I would think of, for certainly what you would say. I mean, you know your team very well, and I love it. I think that's amazing. Better than I could have done for sure on the analysis there of the Colts draft and some of those great athletes. That's really, really cool, man. I'm really excited to see these young guys on the field and you see what these Colts can do. So last but not least, let's take a look here at the schedule for your Colts. And this year, it looks like the AFC South is taking on, if I'm not mistaken, the AFC West, of course. That's where my Raiders are. Yeah, one of the toughest, I think, divisions right now in the NFL. One of the powerhouse divisions.
The toughest.
Yeah, well, there you go.
The toughest division.
The toughest, yeah. Certainly not the easiest. we can definitely agree on that. And
yep.
And, yeah, man. And then on top of that, you are taking on, looks like the NFC East, if I'm not mistaken. I think I see all those teams in there, yes. And then the outlier teams, we have Minnesota out of the NFC North and New England out of the AFC East. So, with that said, what do you think this year? You know, I mean, honestly, Aaron, this is going to be such a hard one for me to give my final weigh in on because the Titans dominated, but then again, what did they really dominate? I hate to say it, but there was 4 kind of gimme wins. I don't even know if they swept those teams or whatever. But what I do know is that, okay, it's Jacksonville and Texans that weren't so great. And then they had to deal with you guys, and then it was just kind of them. Now, Titans, I'm not taking anything away from them. They're a solid team. But, they're the cream of the crop right now in this division. And then you guys were a few wins back, but, you were a distant second place, and then as I said earlier, you guys also had, you were a distant second place from both sides, from first place and then from third and fourth for sure. So, I mean, now you have the AFC West, which is pretty dang solid. The NFC East is a pretty, they're pretty good too. There's some good teams there as well. The outlier teams, I mean, you look at Minnesota, they're interesting to say the least. They look like a paper team sometimes. I don't know. They're good, then they're not. I don't know. And then of course you have, as I mentioned, the Patriots. We don't know what we're going to get with them, but it's Bill Belichick. So I mean, really, I don't know. This is kind of hard. So Aaron, now that I just kind of went through all that crap, what do you think about your Colts this year, man? What do you think you guys are going to do?
Well, I think what I am visualizing this season is I think top end is probably 11 wins, 6 losses. I think it's entirely possible that they could be in that 10-win, 7-loss scenario. I can't get used to the 17-game schedule. I've always done math in my head, and 16 has always been the number. So it's going to be a learning experience for me for the second year to get those 17 games in. But I think that there is a possibility that they could lose each and every one of the games to the AFC West opponents. I just running through those teams. You got Kansas City, you got your Raiders, you've got the Chargers, and you got the Denver Broncos, and those teams are just stellar. I am so glad and thankful that we are not in the AFC West because those teams are going to all cannibalize each other. And there is a possibility that one of those teams, if they were in the AFC South, would win 12 games. But because of where they are and because they've got to play that gamut, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough coming out of that. So I think it is possible that the Colts could drop all the games to the AFC West. I think that this year, though, I think that the Colts are going to find a way to win the AFC South. I do. I think that you're going to see the Titans come back to the field. I don't think Jacksonville is quite there yet. I think they're improving, but I don't think that they're there yet. And I don't think that Houston is anywhere close to being ready to compete yet. So I think that I see the Colts probably splitting with Tennessee, and I've got my fingers crossed that they'll split with the other two. Yes, playing the NFC. Some of those NFC opponents, we beat New England last year. We were at home against New England a year ago. We're playing at New England at Foxborough this season. So I can assure you that it will be difficult. But I think my target, based on when I went through the schedule one game at a time, I think I had them at either 10 or 11 wins. And I think that's going to be enough to get them in the playoffs, and I think that's going to get them. I think that's going to put them in the driver's seat in the AFC South.
Awesome, brother. Well, Aaron, we don't got too much longer, but I do know that there's a segment that you heard a few times last week that has really taken off. I've been doing it for the last couple of years, but now that I'm really putting it out there on social media, like a lot, it's definitely grown plenty of. I don't know, you can call it popularity, I guess. I don't know. But it's certainly become one of the more popular segments here on the show. And, well, I think you know what time it is, Aaron. You just told us how you think your Colts are going to do. Awesome. But there's 3 other teams in the NFL. Well, sorry, 3 other teams in the AFC South that you don't really care too much for, and they don't really care for you very much. With that said, Aaron, you know what time it is, man. You need to let us know. Or you can, of course, let us know how you feel those other 3 teams are going to do this season. And you could also tell us how you really feel about those teams. With that said, you got, and of course, you can always be nice and polite about it. You can be mean and ugly, or you can have a combination of both. Mr. Aaron, without further ado, 2 minutes on the clock. Stick it to him.
All right. Well, thank you. I don't mean to be mean-spirited to my colleagues, but I'm going to let them have it. Houston Texans. I have a saying around my house. Here I sit, cheeks a-flexing, giving birth to a Houston Texan. You guys haven't been relevant for the last 4 years. You trade away your best players. You're never going to recover from Bill O'Brien. The last time that you were relevant, you were up 21-0 against the Kansas City Chiefs in an AFC playoff game, and you are behind at halftime. How do you do that? You're lousy. Your quarterback, Davis Mills. Who in the heck is Davis Mills? You trade away your best player to the Cardinals. You let J.J. Watt walk. You trade away your quarterback, Deshaun Watson, to the Cleveland Browns. You're not relevant, and you're not going to be for any time in the near future. So good luck with that, Houston. I think you have a problem. Moving on to the Jaguars. Jacksonville, you have our number when we go down and play at your lousy stadium with all 10 of the fans that you have. At least you got a nice swimming pool in the end zone. Trevor Lawrence, you know what? You might have picked a good player. You might not. He had one good game last year. It was against us. So congratulations on that. Maybe this year he'll have two. And what is the deal with their logo and their decal? Why in the world does that cat have a blue tongue? Is it sick? Maybe you need to take that Jaguar to the veterinarian. But Jaguars, you're not there yet. And find a color scheme, will you? Why do you have to change uniforms every year? What, is Baby Brown not available? So Jaguars, you're not relevant either. But I'm going to save the best for last. I want to talk about those Titans of Tennessee and how great they are. Well, let me remind you of a couple of things. First of all, your logo is nothing more than a flaming thumbtack. And that's all you're going to be, is the flaming thumbtacks of Tennessee. Your quarterback, he used to play receiver when he was in college, and he still plays like he plays receiver. Ryan Tannehill is lousy. He's never going to accomplish anything. Good thing you drafted another quarterback, because he's going to be putting the heat on Tannehill soon. And thank you, Tennessee. Thank you for trading away your best player, A.J. Brown, away to a different team. I appreciate that. We will look forward to not guarding him this season. And finally, I recognize that, Tennessee, that you are widening and broadening your offense because you don't have a quarterback. I understand that you're going to include some off-tackle runs this year as opposed to the 15,000 dives that you run with Derrick Henry over and over and over again. I hope he doesn't get hurt. He is a great player. I'm not going to take anything away from King Henry. But with that being said, the league's leading rusher last year by 500 yards is in Indianapolis, and his name is Jonathan Taylor. So move aside, King.
Wow! I heard, Houston, you have a problem. You guys are terrible, and wow! You trade away all your best players. You're never going to recover. All this craziness. I heard about the Jaguars having a blue tongue and needing to go to the vet, and the Titans are nothing more. The Titans logo is nothing more than a flaming thumbtack. Wow! Aaron, I think this might be like one of the top 3 all-time stick-it-to-ems. My goodness, what? Oh, that was amazing! Dang, man, way to let them have it. You don't like them. Cool.
I mean it with much love. I mean it with much love to my colleagues.
That was amazing. I cannot wait for that. When this show gets aired, this is on Sunday, by the way. We're recording almost all these shows, these interviews on Sunday. Everybody listening live, but oh my gosh, I'm telling you, we're gonna have a voting poll for the best Stick It To 'Em segments, and I don't know, Aaron. Don't be surprised if you're in that final, man. That was amazing, and way to go! Wow, that was incredible. So, with that said, Aaron X, ladies and gentlemen, what a guy! Thank you so much for taking time out today. I screwed up, man. The laptop wasn't responding with me this morning. It wasn't working with me. I had it plugged in. It wasn't working. All these things happen, and then Aaron, of course, like it's all good. We can do it later on in the day, and we did, and here we are. And thanks a lot for your patience, man. Thank you for everything you do here at iSports Radio, man. We're so glad to have you aboard. And, well, with that said, you know what time it is, Aaron. Get that plug, man. Where can all these diehard Indianapolis Colts find you, man? Where can all these diehard fans find you on social media? And anything else you want to plug?
You can find me each and every week, each and every Saturday morning at the Crossroads Pod with Aaron X on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
That was amazing. Hey, thanks again, Aaron, for your time, brother. You take care. God bless you and your family. We'll have a great weekend, man. A great rest of your weekend. A great week. And we'll talk to you soon, man. Thanks again.
Take care, Larry.
Take care, brother. Have a good one. Ladies and gentlemen, wow, that was awesome. How about that, Mr. Aaron X? My gosh. Well, that's going to do it for this segment. When we get back, we are talking the Tennessee Titans with Davidson Crooks. You were listening to 3 and Out, 8 Divisions in 8 Days, AFC Week, AFC South Day, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back talking Titans after this.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Harrison Glazer, and we're coming at you from the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. I cover the Jets, the Islanders, the Nets, and the Yankees.
This is Pierre Moss, and I cover the Mets, Knicks, Rangers, and the Giants.
Our show is live every Wednesday through Spreaker and a bunch of other ways to get our content. Again, we're the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. We talk about all those New York sports. It's a lot of fun. We get into all of it. Please tune in. Again, that's Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
And we look forward to having you guys right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Are you a fan of Buffalo sports? Are you thinking of changing loyalties and becoming a Buffalo sports fan? Do you even know where Buffalo is on the map? Did you know Canada is closer to Buffalo than New York City? Welcome to the Buffalo Huddle, every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Patty Bax. This is a podcast designed for you, the passionate sports fan. I know you love your sports. Who doesn't? I cover Buffalo sports and so much more by bringing in the human elements. I call it Buffalo Sports with a Twist. Join me as we take a journey into the world of Buffalo sports. I guarantee you'll fall in love with Buffalo just like I did. Each week we start with an inspiration, question of the day, a Buffalo fun fact, and our weekly challenge to you, the listener. Come huddle up with me every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time for the Buffalo Huddle with Patty Bax on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. As we say in Buffalo, go Bills!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Lentarius Locke.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Welcome back, football fans. Well, here we are, day number 3. As you've been listening to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, AFC South day, and we're going to end day number 3 with quite the bang. I'm excited for this guy here on the line to be here today because, man, he's about as diehard Titans as Titans get, and, well, he's ready to tell you a little thing or two about these Titans this year. Ladies and gentlemen, to finish off AFC South Day, he is, of course, co-host of Fast Break along with Ontarius Locke every Sunday, talking all things basketball right here on IE Sports Radio. He has, of course, been a monster on the IESR vids, talking all things basketball. And he is, of course, host of The Crooks Process, a podcast that he has been doing even before IE Sports Radio. Great job, man, all the time. He does a wonderful show, and you gotta check that out as well. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, diehard Titans fan, and glad to have him here on 3 and Out for his zillionth time. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Davidson Crooks. What's going on, Davidson? How you doing today, brother?
Doing good today, sir. How you doing today, Mr. Larry?
And I am doing the best I can in every possible way, man. So thanks again for that. Seriously appreciate the heck out of you. And, well, let's go ahead and jump on in with these Titans, man. So last year, the Tennessee Titans, 12-5, took the division, did very, very well. The Colts were at 9-8, Texans at 4-13, the Jaguars at 13-14. My goodness. So you guys, were the cream of the crop. You dominated. Ended up going 12-6 overall. You guys went 5-1 in the South, solid. And, I mean, look at this year, courtesy of FBschedules.com. Solid victory over the, started off with a horrible loss, that is, from the Arizona Cardinals. Then you went on, had a crazy overtime game at Seattle. You went on a 2-game win streak defeating the Colts. Then you lost in overtime to the Jets in New York. Then you guys went on a 6-game win streak, man. Very impressive. Then you went on a 2-game losing streak, which was kind of tough going into the bye. Then you come out with a victory over Jacksonville, a loss to the Steelers, a 3-game win streak over the Niners, Miami, and Houston. You head on in to get the first round bye. You look good. Like number one overall seed coming out of the AFC. You're looking like the best team coming out as the best team in the AFC. And then what happens? Divisional round at home versus Cincinnati. You guys would lose a tough one, 19-16, and that's where the story would end. This team has so many question marks around it because people want to know, what's going on, man? Is Vrabel really the guy? Is he the guy that gets you just so close but doesn't make it happen? What's going on? I mean, this team has so many question marks. People lit the internet on fire last year, just with all these remarks on your Titans. Davidson, let us know what's up, man. What's going on? Can you tell us every raw emotion last year as a Titans fan? And then, of course, address what do you think right now about these Titans at the moment where they sit?
To recap last year real quick, you come in with big expectations with the addition of Julio and whatnot. A.J. Brown in the fold and Derrick Henry in the fold. And then, of course, a Ryan Tannehill. So you come into that and, this past season with all those expectations and whatnot. And then, of course, the new additions on the defense with Bud Dupree, Denico Autry, along that defensive line. So, new additions, as we talked last year, we did this preview, the defensive side, talking about coaching side, got more solidified and more defined with Shane Bowen being named permanent defensive coordinator. So all those things coming about and whatnot, you come into the season with a lot of expectations. And you mentioned about that first game against the Cardinals. You know, bad game. It happens. First game of the year. You know, Chandler Jones has 5 sacks off Taylor 1. And then Chandler Jones just kind of like basically disappears for the rest of the year. But as you go down the schedule, you beat Seattle in overtime. You beat the Colts at home. You lose in overtime to the Jets, a game that, you know, your defense, your secondary played pretty bad in that one. And then, like you mentioned, that 6-game winning streak. Really found yourself. You beat Jaguars. You beat the Bills in the Monday Night Football game with Jeffrey Simmons, stuffing Josh Allen at the red zone by the 4-yard line. And I don't care what people say, Larry. Josh Allen didn't slip. Jeffrey Simmons met that man head up. I don't care.
Yeah, he did.
And then that following Sunday, you beat down the Chiefs. Like, you, defensive-wise, you were on them and whatnot. You were just kicking their butt. And Mahomes and company didn't get nothing off on there. And then I'm going to get to this date here. October 31st, Halloween. This is the game that kind of turned the things for the Titans in a sense. Derrick Henry got hurt that game with his foot injury. And as you watched that game, you knew something was wrong with him. Something was wrong with him. And he finished the game, credit to him, but you knew something was up. And to come to find out, he has a foot injury. It's going to be out for a little while. Mm-hmm. And, you know, credits to this team to kind of bounce back without him, going against Los Angeles, and you beat them at home. And that's when you kind of see that more, that coming out party for Jeffrey Simmons in that game. And you see what a lot of people inside the league are saying about Jeffrey Simmons, like, yeah, besides Aaron Donald, he's probably the second best D lineman in the NFL. At least top 3. And you saw that in that Los Angeles game. Then you had the tough one against the Saints. And then, like you mentioned, the lose the back-to-back against Houston, which was a bad game, rainy, all that stuff. The New England game, the backup running backs, if they didn't fumble at the times they did, Larry, I think that game would be a different outcome. And, you know, you go into the bye week, you come back to beat Jacksonville, and around that time, Urban Meyer was kind of like checked out at that point. I think we're all, you know, will agree with that. And then trying to get my thoughts here on the last part.
You are good, Davidson.
Then you got the close one against Pittsburgh. You lose that one. And then you finish up seeing pretty strong. The San Francisco game, I'll be honest with you, the way San Francisco came out that first drive, I thought they may beat the brakes out of the Titans. And lucky for them, the Titans didn't let that happen. They came back. A.J. Brown had a big second half, and they, you know, win that game by 3 points. Miami, you know, never like a rainy day on that one. Tua didn't play his best ball at all, and you really took advantage of that, especially on the ground game in that one. Then you cap it off. You win against Houston, and you tie up the division, you tie up the conference and whatnot. So, and then, you know, you lose to the playoff win. There's rumors about Derrick Henry coming back and the importance of winning the division and conference to get that extra bye week. You get the extra bye week, get more time for Derrick Henry for rest. And it seemed like the perfect setup for them to win that game against the Bengals. Well, Larry, it didn't happen.
It didn't. That was a tough one.
It was a tough one. And it sucked for that defense that you get 9 sacks off that pitiful Cincinnati O-line. 9 sacks off that defense, and you go out like that. That's the more heartbreaking thing. The defense did its job. You know, I was worried about, you know, the trio, the young receivers for the Bengals, and what they can do against the Titans secondary. Didn't do too much, but it's just the costly mistakes. The first play of the game for the Titans, they do a pass, threw an interception, and then to cap it all, Tannehill threw an interception at the end, and Cincinnati, to their credit, you know, to the field goal kicker, made the play and won the game for them.
I'll tell you right now, Davidson, you guys had quite the season, man. This year, you had a great offseason, in my opinion. I think you guys recharged, and it's time to take a look at this free agency. Courtesy of OverTheCap.com, you guys had some big-time departures. You guys also had some pretty good big pickups, in my opinion. So, taking a look here at the free agency for the Titans. Well, I lost it. I thought I had it, but I lost it. Isn't that fun? Okay, let's take one more look at this. All right, so Titans free agency, man. What did you think? There were some, like I said, big pickups. You guys, of course, Dontrell Hillard, names like Bullock, of course, you guys, kicker Austin Hooper. I mean, just all these names, Ben Jones, Trenton Cannon. I mean, lots of different pickups and parcels and everything. What did you guys think? Well, what did you think about the Titans free agency this year?
I think, you know, a lot of, you know, minimal, to me, a lot of minimal moves. There's like a lot of one-year deals, kind of like, didn't have a lot of cap room going to things. Getting Austin Cooper was, I think, the key one, because the tight end group for this past year was like kind of like a rotating door. They really kind of depended on, I forgot the guy's name. Name will come to me just a second, but they defended like a couple tight ends that didn't work out. And, you know, getting Hooper, very key for them, will come in and be that number one tight end, and kind of will help balance the offense. You know, you can tell when Jonnu Smith left for the Patriots, that void was definitely felt. And, you know, you didn't really replace nobody like that in this last year's draft or in free agency like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, getting Hooper, very big deal for me, you know, how they go about things. Dontrell Hillard, resigning him. Him and Foreman, I'll say this. When Derrick Henry went out, they really stepped up to the plate. And credit, you know, to Foreman, you know, used that year. He signed I think the deal with Miami, I believe. So, and they brought back Hilliard, who, I mean, the time he got to sign, he proved his worth. So, you know, I think he'll be battling for the number 2 spot here in training camp. So I think that was a good pickup to bring back. Bringing back Ben Jones was a big deal, because I don't think there's nobody behind him to kind of take over that spot. So bringing him for another couple of years was very key. You know, losing Roger Salpo, Raven, Jackrabbit Jenkins, and getting rid of Julio Jones, it sucks, but I think it was necessary. I think, you know, it's disappointment in Julio Jones that, you know, the health, the hamstring and whatnot, he couldn't get past that from, you know, this past year from the Titans. And then also, well, the last couple of years in Atlanta. And I think, you know, it's telling that, you know, what his injury status is, that he hasn't been picked up by another team yet.
Yeah.
So,
really, Davidson, I think a big one, man. I mean, the elephant in the room is Robert Woods coming over from the Rams.
yeah. And then getting Robert Woods in the trade back around March 18th, at that time, was very good. Got an excellent, you know, possession receiver, fits in right in with his offense. Excellent down the hill run blocker for Derrick Henry, and potentially Hilliard. And at that time, with Robert Woods and the pairing A.J. Brown, okay, you got a good solid duo right there. And we're kind of find out a month later, A.J. Brown will no longer be in the fold. So, things happen, things suck in that sense. But, for the moves that they made, Larry, I think it's just kind of like little stopgaps until, the cap situation gets a little bit clearer come next offseason.
I can see that, man. And moving on over into the draft, your guys' offseason continued. You guys will draft, courtesy of ESPN.com, Traylon Burks, wide receiver out of Arkansas, a solid wide receiver here with the 18th overall pick. And then you would go on Roger McCreary, I believe, I don't butcher his name, but DB out of Auburn, another solid pick up there. Nicholas Petrie, Freer, I think, I pronounce his name, offensive tackle out of Ohio State. Malik Willis, a guy that people thought would go very, very high. Well, he's a quarterback out of Liberty, and he's coming to Tennessee. I'm just saying, man, you guys got a lot of pretty good pickups, and, of course, there are more, but I won't want to get into those ones. Certainly can, Davison. But what do you think this year about your guys' draft?
That draft night was pretty crazy. Let's start off there. The A.J. Brown stuff, him winning a new contract and seeing all these other guys like Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, and whatnot get traded and get these big-time deals. Him, Debo share the same agent, and they kind of want their deals as well. And I think, you look at the Titans side of things and A.J. Brown side of things, I think both sides could be at fault. I mean, you can fault the Titans, for not taking care of him when they should, and you can fault AJ for not being patient as he should. Let's be real. I think AJ would got his money regardless. And the history with John Robinson, how he gets these contracts since it's done, he usually gets them done in sometime July, right before training.
Santana real name is Rashad. What the fuck?
Uh-oh, what happened? That was weird.
Ooh, what happened there?
That was odd. Okay. Whatever that was. But no, absolutely, Davidson. I feel like right now, man, you guys had a very solid, in my opinion, a solid draft. And you know what, man? There was a lot to be excited for moving forward, man. So, looking into your Titans right now, Davison, courtesy of, let's see here, FBschedules.com. We have here where are we at? Okay, so here we go. So, looks like this year, if I'm not mistaken, you guys are taking on the AFC, well, of course, got the AFC South. I believe it is the AFC, nope, not the North. So we have here the East, the AFC East. No, it's not the AFC East either. Huh, I'm looking like a fool right now. It's the AFC West. Okay, that's it. I see you guys, the AFC West, and looks like the NFC East, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And then the outlier teams, looks like Green Bay out of the NFC North. And it looks also like you guys have here the Giants out of the NFC East. So looking at the schedule right now, Davison, what do you think, man? What do you think going forward to this year? What do you expect from your guys? I mean, can you be the number one team in the AFC again, looking at the schedule? What do you think about this year?
It's a schedule. That first game against the Giants, Brian Daboll in the fold. They didn't get rid of Daniel Jones or whatnot. They didn't make too many additions on that squad because the cap's over there. And so it's kind of interesting to see how this team's going to work, And I think health-wise, if they're healthy, I think they can do some things. But that's going to be a real interesting game. There's first four. Then you got Buffalo after that, a Monday night. Josh Allen really coming to his own here. I think it's year 4 in the league. So that's going to be a real interesting game right there. The Raiders, your team, they made some great moves the offseason, really showing up that defense and the linebacker crew. So it's going to be real to see how that game going to play out in that way. And then you play the Colts at Indianapolis. You know, they got Matt Ryan in the fold. How does that change with this team and whatnot? I think they still got some questions on defense in my eyes. So, but Matt Ryan, a veteran in the fold, how that's going to change that team's dynamic? Is it going to help them in the short term, or it's going to hurt them in the long run? Because they've been kind of looking for this quarterback ever since Andrew Luck retired.
Yeah.
And they're kind of going down like October 23rd through November the 6th. You know, Colts, Texans, Chiefs. You know, besides that AFC Championship loss to the Chiefs a few years ago, Titans always kind of had the Chiefs' numbers in a sense in the regular season. You know, can that streak continue November 6th on NBC? And then you get to look at the Broncos on November 13th. You know, how will Russell Wilson work with that crew at that point in time? And then especially playing that AFC West division. The Packers, I don't know. They didn't really replace Devontae Adams. I don't know what to expect. I know they'd be solid. The defense will be solid. I don't know what to expect for them at that point. Or who's going to be that number one guy coming at that point. And, you know, with our young secondary, especially at the corners, with Caleb Farley, Roger McCreary, who we got in the second round, and the kid from LSU for a couple of years ago, name escapes me.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, those young guys, hopefully at that point can gel and be together. I think that would be a great thing. But, you know, we shall see. And then you got the big one, I think a lot of Titans fans kind of circled in, December 4th. You're playing at Philly against the Eagles. A.J. Brown, the Titans fans, they kind of been going back and forth at it, seems like all summer. And we'll see how that game is going to shape and fold. You know, and a lot of Titans fans, is he going to like trying to have a big game in that one? Will he be healthy for that one? We shall see. That'd be like a big one for Titans fans to keep their eyes on. And the game before that against the Bengals on November 27th, revenge game. I know the Bengals, short up the offensive line. Would that really matter with, you know, the front four of Autry, Simmons, Bud Dupree, and Harold Landry? You know, can Cincinnati kind of slow those guys down, or they will have flashbacks of what happened to that divisional round game. But as I look at the schedule, Larry, can we win the division again? Yeah, sure. Will we make the number one overall seed in the AFC again? It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
Man,
it's going to be tough.
Oh, no, go ahead.
It's going to be tough because we don't know what the Ravens going to look like. Will Lamar come back in the fold? The AFC West is going to be a dogfight, you know, throughout the year. Who's going to be interesting? Who's going to come out on top of that? You know, the Bills and Patriots and the Dolphins. That seems like a three-way tie right there. Who's going to come out on top of that? Because all the additions the Dolphins had brought on upon themselves as well. So it's going to be tough, you know, to repeat again, to be the top dog. But with this division, I think Titans got a good chance to do it again. I say this: they got a more better chance to win the division again and be on top of the AFC again. Because Texans, you know, I just saw earlier, it was recorded on Sunday, John Mechie's going to miss the season due to being diagnosed with leukemia for the Texans. So, you know, you take that offensive weapon away from them, you know, and Lovely Brown being in the fold, and kind of like in a lame duck situation with the Texans, I don't know how much they're going to improve in my eyes. Jaguars, that's a wait and see. They add a lot of pieces, but we'll see how things shape out for them. And like I said, the Colts, solid offensive line with them, added Matt Ryan, but, their defense, a lot of questions there. And, of course, there's questions about the Titans, too. How, with the loss of Roger Saffold, who's going to replace him? Will Dylan Raines step up to the plate and whatnot? A lot of questions there for the Titans on offensive line side of things. Is Derrick Henry back in full health? What about the receiver core? Can Tannehill shake off the pressure after that playoff loss? A lot of questions there, for the Titans. But I think they got a good chance to win that division again.
I think so. Too. You guys have a strong team. It's going to be close. We'll see what the Colts can do this year. The Jags and Texans got a little ways to go, but overall, man, I think you guys got this. It's going to be great to see what the Titans can do next year, man. So with that said, brother, we have reached the end here, but this is always a fun segment. You know it, I know it. We all know it, man. This segment called Stick It To 'Em is where you get to talk about how you think the other three teams in the AFC South are going to do. You're not too fond of them. They're not too fond of you. But at the same exact time, you could be nice and respectful. You could be mean and ugly. Or you could have a mixture of both. With that said, how are those three teams going to do this season, depending, on what you think? Davidson, stick it to them.
Let me start with the Jaguars. I think Doug Peterson can, get Trevor Lawrence in the fold and kind of wrench off the stink of Urban Meyer and company. I think they'll go a long way for the Jags. I'm not saying they're a playoff team, but it can go a long way for their future to possibly, be atop of the division. But, time will tell, and we'll see how the season plays out. To the Texans, I think David Coley got a raw deal in my eyes, in my humble opinion, in that situation with Deshaun Watson and all that stuff going on, and how Bill O'Brien kind of really gutted that team in a sense. So I'm curious to see how Lovie Smith and company reels this team around. They seem to like, Davis Mills a lot, but, will that be enough to do things? And with this draft QB class coming in next draft, do they kind of, take again to get one of those top QBs? We shall see in coming season. The Colts, would it be the team to worry about? Can Matt Ryan, with a solid offensive line in front of him for, I guess, his best in his career, can he take advantage of that with a very good running back right behind him? We shall see. And also, Colts fans are really excited about him, but he is up in that upper 30s as well. So, they playing, he's playing the dome again and whatnot, but sometimes Father Time is undefeated, and we don't know when that time will hit for him. And I still question their defense. So, to me, the Titans, I know they got things, but I think we'll be on top of the division again. I think Derrick Henry, the key is Derrick Henry, he's going to come out in revenge mode. I think him going out like the way he did in the season, the way he went out the playoffs, I think he's going to come out determined because he's going to wait for 2,000 yards again. I think this upcoming year, he'll be close to that again. And I will say this, my one guarantee before we head out, Larry. I know local media, national media has been on Traylon Burks and his conditioning and stuff like that and blah, 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 blah. But I think the kid will recognize that, and I think the kid will have a solid rookie year along with Robert Woods. I'll put my guarantee on that.
That's what I'm talking about, brother. Hey, great job, man. Davidson Crooks. Brother, that was amazing. Thank you so much for your time today, man. I know we had a little bit of mix-up of the times. These are all being recorded on Sunday, the majority of these, so it has just been crazy, a crazy day for me. But thanks a lot for your time, man. Thanks for just putting things all together and having a great segment, man. We appreciate you so much. And way to end off AFC South Day. with that said, Davis and Crooks, brother, where can all these diehards find you, man? Where can all these diehard Titans fans find you? And please plug all the great things you do, man.
First, me and one Darius Lock, we do a show every Sunday called Fast Break for IE Sports Radio. We go live at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. We talk all things basketball. Tonight, as we're recording on 7/24/2022, we'll talk about Brittany Griner's situation, DeAndre Ayton contract, Donovan Mitchell, the New York Knicks. So do tune in for that. Do follow us on Twitter at FastBreak.IESR. That's FastBreak.IESR. You see our two names in the header. Also, do follow my Twitter account at Spawn4288. That is Spawn4288. I also do another show on the side called The Preach Process. You can follow that show on Facebook and Instagram. My latest episode was talking about this man and his situation. Mm-hmm. I will do an episode following that about his retirement, his sudden retirement. So do look out on that episode and make sure you follow me on Facebook and Instagram. The Crooks Process, you see the CP logo at the profile picture. So do give me a follow there.
Well, there you have it. Davis and Crooks, amazing job as always, man. Definitely appreciate you like crazy. And thanks again for making this show what it is, man. And, of course, as y'all heard, Fast Break, this interview, of course, recorded on Sunday. So Fast Break is long past. We can check it out, IESportsRadio.com. And, of course, we're at Spreaker.com on demand under Fast Break. Great stuff, man. And certainly looking forward to more great things with you and, Mr. Darius Locke. You guys do a great job, man. So, hey, thanks again for all of your help today, man. For, of course, covering the Titans for us. Appreciate you for all you do. And thanks again, man. Have a wonderful rest of your day, wonderful weekend, man, and a wonderful week this week, man. God bless you and your family. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
Thank you. Y'all take care.
Hey, you too, brother. Take care, but we'll have you back on the show very soon.
All right, thank you.
Anytime, brother. Take care. All right, y'all. That was Mr. Davis and Crooks. Great guy, man. What a great guy. Great show. And, well, there you have it. That is going to do it for AFC South Day. Man, what a day that was. Great guest. But wait, you got to get excited. My final weigh-in is coming up next. I think I already gave it away, right? But my final weigh-in on the AFC South coming up next. You are listening to 3 and Out, 8 Divisions in 8 Days, AFC Week, AFC South Day, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hey USRN fans, do you have a product or company you're trying to promote? Look no further. USRN is teaming up with small local businesses trying to establish themselves via online promotion. Let us know if you're interested. Email us at usrnradio@gmail.com to learn more.
What's up, sports fans? Are you looking for the latest on Northern California sports? Then take a trip out west with me, your host, Gina G, on Reppin' the NorCal Sports, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'll be bringing it to you all the way live every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. And it's always a packed show. I'll bring you everything Dynastic 49ers, the bite of the San Jose Sharks, torture of the San Francisco Giants, the Golden State Warriors that we still believe. Then take you across the bay to the rise and grind of the Oakland A's. I've got you covered on college ball from the Cal Bears to the Stanford Cardinal, so that no matter what, reppin' in NorCal sports is always reppin' the Bay. So if you bleed red and gold, or you're looking to keep an eye out west in them thar hills, don't miss me, Gina G, on Reppin' in NorCal Sports. Catch me every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, and I'll have your fandom repped harder than a trio of defenders guarding Stephen Curry before his buzzer beater is Gucci.
What's up, everybody? This is Taryn Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Lopan, they didn't even want you. Heck, they didn't even want me. But you know what? Right about now, they have no choice. Looking for the real sports talk? Talk that's for us, the people? Look no further. The Wait a Minute Show, a prime time sports comedy cocktail that tucks you in at night. Join me and Lopan Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 2livestewsradio.com and Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the waitaminuteshow.com. Sounds like a plan to me. Ain't that right, Lopan? Indeed.
Hi everybody, it's Calvin here from USRN, here to give you an important message. Since 2017, we have done our absolute best to provide you with nothing but the highest quality of sports calls in the greatest of quantity possible. Thanks to you, our station has grown more than we ever thought. That's why, with your help, we would like to grow even further. Just think, twice the amount of your favorite calls, 24 hours of coverage, talk shows, play-by-play, game-by-game analysis, and so much more. That's right, USRN2 is officially in development, but we can't do it alone. We have set up a GoFundMe page that you can access from our homepage on the left of your screen. We also are planning special giveaways and prizes to our highest donors. Our goal here at USRN is to bring you the best calls possible at no cost to you. In order to continue to do that, we need your help now. Please check out our GoFundMe page, and if you would like to know how you can help, you can email usrnradio@gmail.com. Without your support, we couldn't do what we do.
College football, and do you want to hear a college football show dedicated to all that is college football, including junior college and the CCCAA and the NJCAA, the NAIA, and the NCAA, including Division III, Division II, Division I AA in the FCS, and Division I Single A in the FBS? Well then, look no further. Join myself, Larry B., and my colleagues, Mr. H-Town Blake Henley, and Mr. Christian Espinoza, each week during the college football season for the latest in college football on 3 and Out College Edition right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Hey there, sports fans. Are you looking for a sports show that maybe isn't 100% about sports?
Then you might want to check out the Sports Couple Perspectives right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Most sports shows cover only scores and stats, and while we're not opposed to that, we dig a little deeper into sports issues and some of the hottest topics in athletics.
In addition to sports, we take a journey through my neck of the woods, pop culture, with movie reviews of both sports and non-sports films.
Speaking of pop culture, make sure to participate in our game nights, where we quiz each other on our specialties, and you, the listeners, can win IE Sports Radio apparel.
We always have a great time learning more about each other's worlds, one show at a time.
So join us each week on the Sports Couple Perspectives, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. What's going on, football fans? This is me, your boy Larry B, inviting you to join myself, Colin Reynolds, Mike Pat, and John Felipe for one of the most electrifying football shows you have ever heard. 3 and Out, right here at IE Sports Radio. Recap of the week before, a preview of what's to come, and of course, 3 hardcore head-to-head prime-time face-offs each week. You don't want to miss it. You most certainly don't want to miss it. And, well, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We have reached the conclusion of AFC South Day. My goodness, we are 7 days into this thing. One more to go after today, and man, it is going to be a great one tomorrow. It was a great one today. Can we give a big hand clap, a big applause for all 4 of our guests here today? They all did an awesome job. Mr. Christopher Murphy, Mr. Johnny, Mr. Aaron X, and Mr. Davidson Crooks. Great people, and just a great overall show. Thank you all for spending some time with me this week to talk about your teams. And, well, here we are in my final weigh-in. So, I kind of give it away multiple times. This is not a hard division to predict, especially with who they're taking on this year. The AFC South, let's face it, the Titans, they're not really battle-tested too much throughout the year. This year they will be. Oh yeah, trust me. I forgot who they took on last year, but that was last year. This year, of course, both of these, well, this division will take on both the AFC West and the NFC East. And I had to take that, double-check that right now, courtesy of FBschedules.com. But yeah, not the easiest teams to take on, all right? I mean, all 4 teams in the in the AFC West are insanely good. All teams in the NFC East, I mean, really it's just the Giants. They're a question mark, as you heard me say last week. And I don't know, the Commanders could or could not be a question mark. They have an amazing defensive line. The Cowboys are freaking stacked. The Eagles are stacked. I mean, those are 8 really hard games for the AFC South this year. So that's going to leave me, of course, with a somewhat of a bias, I guess, because, of course, I'm an AFC West guy, but I don't want to say a bias. It's going to leave me with some kind of like a, I guess a bias towards how good I think those divisions are. So overall, I don't really see even the top teams winning more than 12 games, and it's kind of funny because I feel like it's the battle for first and the battle for third. Now, am I saying that, once again, it's all speculation. This is all just what I've said it a million times already, this 8 divisions in 8 days, so you know how it goes. All speculation, all fun and games, all fun stuff here. But at the end of the day, it's definitely nothing in concrete. This is nothing anybody says. I don't care about the most expert out there. It's all speculation because the games are played and won and lost on the field. So this year, I do feel like it'll certainly be Titans, Colts, Jaguars, and Texans in that order. But hear me out on how I say it. So the Titans, I think that they will be the top team, or the Colts. It'll be a toss-up. But I kind of feel like this is one more chance for the Titans. I have them going between 12-5 and 11-6. Kind of funny, I have the Colts also between 12-5 and 11-6. Honestly, I'm going to go ahead and change that live on air right now. Because now that I really think about it, the AFC West is just damn good, and the NFC East. So I'm gonna say between 12-5 and 10-7. That's fair. I'm changing it right now on Twitter because once again, those teams are strong. Am I saying that the Titans can't sweep either of those divisions? Am I saying the Colts can't? No, but I think that's fair. This is a division that's not necessarily as strong. At least this year, and I think that's fair to put both of those teams somewhere in that 2-gap range. Now, can the Colts be the 12-5 team and the Titans be a 10-7? Of course it can. Of course they can. I just feel the Titans have one last go around. This year, I don't want to say Super Bowl or bust, because I feel like it's still there, but they're going to need it. But I feel like this year it is, I guess I can say Super Bowl or bust because I feel like the Titans need to make a move now. They need to make it happen. They've had a couple of years already, 2 strong seasons in the playoffs. They just kind of fizzle out. They got to make it happen this year. That team is still it's great. They've built it very well. They may not be great, but they're pretty great. All right, they're a solid team, and I feel like they can make a playoff run. They have an amazing running back, a guy who's very hard to bring down. I'm just saying there's a lot there, and they need to make it happen now. If they can't make it happen now, then it's going to, I don't know when the next time the Titans will, have this surge again, maybe in a few years, but it's kind of like make it happen, As for the Colts, I think they have everything they need as of right now. They have, maybe not need, we could all get better, but I feel like the Colts have a strong foundation right now, and they can totally compete with the Titans. They might go 1-1 this year. I don't know if any of them are going to sweep each other. I don't know. But I do know that the Colts can overtake the Titans this year. I think they've caught up. I really do. If anything, they're within a game, and that's where I could see it, within just one game where the Titans finished first, the Colts finished second. But the Colts, unless the Titans, go back on the up and up, which I didn't say they weren't on the up and up, but I'm just saying the Colts, I feel like, man, they're one season away from being almost identical to the Titans and then surpassing them possibly next year. If this was next year and this is still the same, Titans kind of fizzle out in the playoffs, Colts do or do not make the playoffs. I don't know. Next year, it might be a different story, and I might say, you know what, depending on the draft and the offseason and everything, the Colts will overtake the Titans. So this is the last year I'm going to give the Titans that top bid unless they win the bowl or at least an AFC championship. So once again, I have both these teams between 12-5 and 10-7. Now, moving on to the third place. I got to give it to the Jaguars. This isn't being mean to the Texans. And I have the Jaguars between 8-9 and 5-12. And you heard Johnny even say earlier, successful looks like 7-10 this year. And the reason why I'm going to give the Jaguars at least, maximum 8-9 and minimum 5-12, Because, number one thing, that defense number one thing, they have Trevor Lawrence. And this guy's going to make things happen. He's not going to not make things happen. He's getting it going. He wants to earn that money. That guy is amazing. And seriously, I just don't see them. They can honestly do better. If that defense gets better, oh my gosh, we could be talking about an entirely different season here. But it's all speculation, and this is just kind of going off of what happened last year. I could see them winning 8 games max, maybe more. But the defense has to make it happen. They drafted a lot of great players. Johnny said they went from a 40 front to a 30 front. Okay, let's see if that scheme works better for who they have for their personnel. But then again, they could be as low as 5-12, and that's just the way I see it. But I do think I have high hopes for the Jaguars, and I think they could actually break out of that double-digit loss column or double-digit losses and go to that single-digit loss and, get to 8 victories or more. Now, I'm not saying anything bad about Mills, but I will say that the Texans need some work. They definitely need a little help, and I think that defense needs to get a little bit better, certainly, and that, Mills has got to step it up. I feel like they definitely have solid players, but at the moment, they got to build a little more, and that's why I can't give them more than 7 victories if they do go that high, and 4 wins, of course, 4 victories if they're on the lower end. So Texans, I have 7-10 on the maximum end, on the minimum end, I have 4-13. Just being realistic, once again, don't want to, piss off Murphy or anything from earlier, Christopher Murphy, but I will say that I do think they're going in the right direction. I think Stingley was a great pickup. Once again, they had some very good pickups. Kenyon Green, the young man out of Texas A&M, that guard. I'm just saying, there was a lot, by the way, courtesy of ESPN.com there. But that's what I have this year, and that's how I feel that the AFC South can possibly look. Once again, all speculation. We shall see how it looks. It's all happening on the field, guys. But that is how the AFC South at least looks to me, based off of what we saw last year and based off what the offseason looked like. Now, let's go see these teams play, right? So, with that said, what a great show. Thank you again to all my guests. Man, great stuff. And, well, that is the AFC South. My goodness. Oh, we have one more day to go. And with that said, cue the music, because we're out of here. Well, that's going to do it, ladies and gentlemen. The AFC South is officially in the books, and we are ready to rock and roll into the AFC North tomorrow. Once again, big, huge shout out to all of my guests on today's show. All of them. Awesome. Definitely appreciate you all. Christopher Murphy, Johnny, Aaron X, and Davidson Crooks. You guys are awesome. Thank you all so very much for being a part of this show today. Couldn't thank you enough, and we really had a great time. So, with that said, on to the AFC North. 7 days in, you guys. 28 teams in. Just one more day to go. 4 more teams to go. And we will have all 32 teams in the NFL and all 32 fans. I don't even know if we had all 32 last year. We may or may not have been good before that. We didn't. I don't know. But awesome. We got all 32 this year. And I just thank you to all of our guests each and every day, each and every week. We appreciate you guys for tuning in and, of course, for just being a part of it. Whether you're a guest that was on last week and you're still tuning in or you tuned out, we appreciate you. And if you were a guest on this year's 3 and out 8 divisions in 8 days, we thank you very much. So, tomorrow, the AFC North, as I like to call it, the hardest hitting division in the NFL. Awesome stuff, man. You have to, as I always say, you got to play defense on offense in order to win the AFC North because it's so hard hitting and defensive based. So, tomorrow we have 4 more diehards. As we speak to, let me get those up for you, Mr. Scott Scholl. We have a brand newcomer, Scott Scholl talking about his Ravens. We have a newcomer, Mr. Ralph, talking about his Steelers. Mr. Andrew Hagenbaugh talking about his Cleveland Browns. And Mr. Chris Sleeman talking about his Cincinnati Bengals as we end off AFC week. And of course, 8 divisions in 8 days. for the 2022-2023 season. It has been so much fun. And, well, 7 days down, 1 more to go. 4 more teams to go tomorrow, and it's going to be awesome. With that said, you guys, that will do it. Thank you to all of the guests today, all of our listeners, Taryn Rodriguez, Mr. Marcus Los Great, Aaron X, and Davidson Crooks today. If there's anybody else I forgot, my apologies. Thank you to all of our listeners today, and thank you to everybody showing love each and every day. Really quick, I do want to say thank you to everybody who voted on today's voting poll. Looks like you guys, 71% of you said the Colts will win this year in the AFC South. 23% say the Titans, 6% say the Texans, and 0% say the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know it's my fault. I posted up late. My apologies. But as I always say, all glory to God. Without Him, nothing is possible. And of course, without you guys, the show is impossible. We'll see you tomorrow, y'all. One more day. See you then. Take care. And as always, God bless.